All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Gottschall. I am the Lower Paxton Township Manager. In typical fashion, I'm going to give a brief summary of this evening's agenda, particularly for the benefit of those who may be watching at home on television, as the board prepares to enter and begin getting down to business. This evening is a workshop session of the board, and they have a number of items on the agenda, rather actually short agenda. First to include, of course, the main topic of this evening's agenda being that of public comment on the matter of the newly created Township Bureau of Fire. Following that then, as the board typically does annually, we'll hear a number of presentations this year on the 2025-2026 Dauphin County Local Share Municipal Grant Program, and at the appointed time, the board will call up various applicants to hear presentations if they so choose to entertain us with that information. Then following that, the board will hear any last announcements before finally making a motion to adjourn. With all that said, the members of the board will enter the room momentarily, and we'll get down to business. Thank you very much.
Good money. Good money. It's infrastructure.
Have specific plans for it?
Good evening, everybody. It is now 7:03 p.m. and I'm calling to order the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors meeting for June 10th, 2025. I would like to ask Director Kashiba to lead us in the pledge.
Everyone, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on to general public comment, I'd just like to announce that we held an executive session at 6:30 prior to the meeting to receive information and discuss personnel issues. Okay, moving on to public comment. Public comment on any item except for the matter of the newly created Township Bureau of Fire. Please state your name and your address, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Larry Pickens, and I am the Executive Director at the Pennsylvania Council of Churches, 900 South Arlington Avenue. I'm here tonight because of a commitment that our Council of Churches has with respect to addressing issues around food insecurity. And we made a decision to create a community garden on the site of our United Church Center. So as we began the process of talking with contractors regarding fencing, we learned that the zoning commission determined that we could not utilize a chain link fence, but our project would require either a vinyl or wood fence. That would be very difficult for us in terms of the budgetary impact, and we're also cognizant of the fact that the PennDOT drainage area, which is directly connected to our property, already includes a chain link fence. So what we would like to do is really coordinate within the parameters of what they have already done. So we're requesting a variance that would enable us to construct a chain link fence on that property. So we would ask your indulgence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pickens. Has this been discussed with township staff or Director Zerbe?
No,
Or brought in front of the planning commission yet?
Other than the contractors having the initial conversation with them, no.
Okay. Thank you. We will look into it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other public comment?
Thank you for your time. My name is Gloria, and my last name's Cadiccio Hayden. I live at 225 South Arlington Avenue. Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to hear me. I come to you not just as a current 11-year resident, but also as a professional with firsthand knowledge of how government systems work. I am a Medicaid fraud investigator. I understand process, procedure, policy, and accountability. And I also understand what it looks like when a system drags its feet with a problem growing more dangerous by the day. Our property is experiencing serious flooding, persistent, damaging, and worsening. This isn't just about inconvenience. This is about safety and liability. This flooding endangers our foundation, undermines the stability of our land, and threatens the well-being of my children and our pets. I'm also deeply concerned about contamination, erosion, and the long-term impact on our neighborhood and the county as a whole. I want to be clear, I am aware that Pennsylvania law supports action in cases like this. Under the Stormwater Management Act, Act 167 of 1978, the township has a clear duty to maintain and manage stormwater systems in accordance with county and municipal plans. If your infrastructure like culverts, drainage pipes, or public roads is not maintained, and this is contributing to the flooding, you may be in violation of that law. This may also rise to the level of common law nuisance or negligence, particularly if township inaction results in damage to a private property. And while I understand budgets and delays, the law is clear. Municipalities have a legal responsibility to protect their residents from foreseeable harm. Moreover, Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, the Environmental Rights Amendment, guarantees our right to clean water, safe property, and environmental protection. Repeated flooding that threatens health and safety can be seen as a violation of those rights. This is not just about our property, this is about public health, liability, and trust in the system. I am respectfully asking the township to take immediate steps to investigate the cause, assess the risk, and prioritize real solutions before damage worsens or someone gets hurt. This is not the first avenue that has been attempted. For the last 2 decades, attempted multiple contacts by different property owners via phone calls, emails, and Facebook communication have been attempted by multiple parties. Let's fix it before it's too late. Thank you.
Could I just ask specifically what properties are you referring to?
225 South Arlington Avenue.
Okay. And are there any other properties?
Yes.
That you would like to? Okay. Are you planning to speak after? Great, thank you. And if you have prepared remarks and you'd like to share them for the record, we'd love to see those so we can review them as well. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Danae Napolitano. This is
And
my
I'm David White.
and we reside at 233 South Arlington, the property directly next door to the previous speaker. We purchased the property last year and moved in at the end of August. Our property has flooded 3 times, and it is wiping out our landscaping. We have, and it's each time we get a heavy rain. After as we gathered information about this, the road was not only repaved coming down from the Shoup Cemetery all the way down to Locust, but the angle of the street was also raised in the center and lowered on the sides. The curbs were taken away, and the storm drain, which was at the corner of Arlington and Cambridge, was taken out. My understanding from speaking with other neighbors is that the problem of the flooding of the two properties was not occurring while that storm drain was still there. The water proceeds to come down, and this is during heavy rains, will come down, will flood one driveway, we have videos we're happy to share with emails, we can send them all. But it will flood her property first, then it will literally come up over an embankment, a raised area, and come over into our property like Niagara Falls. It will rise to well over a foot up against our home, and also putting several inches of water in our basement. This has happened 3 times since we moved in August of last year. And my understanding is that it was because the storm drain was taken out. There is nowhere for the water to go other than where nature is taking it. It's also flooding kind of a back alleyway behind our properties. We have kind of a common area. It's not named, but it is flooding out garages as well. So again, we appreciate your consideration. And to my neighbor's point, it is contaminating the area. We've already had rotting wood that we've had to replace all the way around the garage, and we have seen foundation leaks coming through. We know this will continue if it's not addressed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I think that this is the first time that most of the supervisors are hearing about this. I don't know if township staff has any input or awareness of the issue.
I personally do not. I was
Okay.
searching my emails through this conversation. I'm not aware of it personally, but
Okay, I talked to a gentleman about this probably last week.
Okay.
His name was Larry.
Larry
with
Strapansky.
With Public Works, I guess.
Okay.
And he told me to move some of the stone that was in our front yard around our flower bed, because after it stopped raining, he was going to come by and do the curbing. We went on a week's vacation, and all the stone was moved. And we were thinking, well, maybe the curb's up. Maybe it's a fine time to do it. We have 80-degree weather for
That was
a week.
a month ago.
And nothing. And he also returned with an email weeks later saying that he don't have the proper machinery to do this.
And
Which
there were
is-
there were other projects that were more important.
Yeah, and he was just filling potholes, is what he said. And don't have the curber to do it. So, you know, me and another gentleman let him know that it can be subbed out to contractors that have the machines to do it, or borrow it from another district to do the job. And it's just very weak communication when it comes to anything as far as responses. First time in my time that I've had to do this. I've never been to one of these meetings, but when you have 7 inches of water coming through your yard and a foot down in your basement, something needs to be done. Now, I was also told that when they repaved the road, there was more than just one storm drain. I'm quite sure there's some type of code there, if we look hard enough, that there should be more storm drains. There's no storm
one-
drain. There's one at the cemetery and one at the bottom of Locust Lane, and that's it. So when you stand in 7 inches of water higher than your ankles in your yard, something's wrong there.
Okay.
So I hope something can be done about this.
We have extensive videos too, which and we may need an email address, and it looks like whitewater rafting coming through the yard. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And yes, please email us any information, videos, correspondence. Copy us on correspondence that you have sent to Mr. Sapansky, and we will follow up with him as well. Sorry, go ahead. Is there any other public comment not on the Fire Bureau? Okay. Moving on. Before we get into public comment, I feel like I need to address some of the narrative out there that's been somewhat troublesome. I'll be brief. The prior board authorized the MRI study to be conducted to analyze fire service in this township. They decided that firefighters needed to be hired. In anticipation of hiring firefighters, the prior board increased our township fire tax from .635 mils to 1.24 mils, based on information provided to them by our finance director and Deputy Fire Chief Graham. The prior board also authorized the solicitation of proposals for an additional compensation study. The board approved the selection of PFM for that study. When the 2025 budget was passed, the increase to the fire tax was estimated to be enough to fund career firefighters for approximately 5 to 7 years. PFM has been in contact with management and staff and is preparing a report. The goal, I hope, is that they provide information to us on the long-term sustainability to help guide future decisions of this board. The PFM study is running concurrently with the career firefighter timeframe that I outlined last week, which was provided to us in January by Deputy Fire Chief Graham. So let me be clear, and I'm speaking for myself as one individual board member, and likewise, as an aside, when one supervisor speaks publicly or privately about this issue, they're reflecting their own thoughts and opinions on this matter. However, it is my position that the prior board has taken all official action that is necessary to move forward with hiring career firefighters. The fire tax has been levied, and this matter is settled. Consistent with historical township hiring practices and prior board delegation, staff has been, is, and will be empowered and authorized to move forward under the plans, which I will invite them to clarify now. All that I ask is that the hardworking professional volunteers be included in and heard during implementation. So thank you, and with that, I will turn it over to Director Kashiba.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you to everyone here tonight to express thoughts and concerns and comments on the topic. Thank you, most importantly, to all of our volunteers that have worked tirelessly with myself and Deputy Chief Graham to get us to where we are today. It has been a decent amount of work to get here, and it cannot go without being spoken, the time commitment that all the individuals talked about prior to me and those that have been working tirelessly recently on some of these items. I'll reiterate a couple of the comments, Madam Chairwoman, that I have to say thank you. Thank you to the board when I came on in 2018 for having a vision to unify our fire service in 2018. And that has never swayed one way or another. That has continued through 2020 with, as she indicated, the MRI study moving into 2024, the support of the board then, and the budget package that was approved for moving into 2025. One thing we need to keep in mind, and I want to reiterate from everyone because there's been a lot of discussion both on social media and other pockets of meetings, that there is a plan. There always has been a plan. That plan has begun as early as 2018, is moving forward, and we are doing great work. I'll reiterate also that Deputy Chief Graham has worked tirelessly with not only the volunteers here, but the former Assistant Township Manager to develop a very comprehensive payment study into the hiring of these firefighters, and continues to do great work. Most recently, both Deputy Chief Graham and I have met with on teams with the PFM group, and that is moving forward, and we've had some positive movement in that direction. With one last thing, those who know me, I like to quote philosophers into current times. I like to reflect from what they thought about years ago and bring them into current times. So before I hand it over to Chief Graham, I'll quote Socrates here. I think it is appropriate. The secret of change is focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but building the new. And I believe we've been doing that. Chief Graham.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you, Director, members of the community.
As the director noted earlier, there's been a tremendous amount of work that's been happening behind the scenes over the past year to bring us to this point. Tonight, I'm proud to share with you our implementation of the staffing plan, a plan that developed with meaningful input from our volunteers and is built upon a process that mirrors standard and best practices for implementing career firefighters. First and foremost, I want to thank the previous board and the current board. It's clear that the majority of you support this plan and, more importantly, trust in the work that we've done to get us to this point. Your continued support is vital to the success of this initiative. I also want to take a moment to recognize and thank our volunteers. As you have heard time and again, they're tired, and rightfully so. Yet despite the long hours and increasing demands, they continue to show up day in and day out, doing everything they can to keep this community safe. Please continue to be patient. Help is on the way. Here's where we currently stand. We have 15 applicants who have successfully completed both written and physical agility testing. In the next week, we will conduct oral interviews, and those that move forward from the oral interviews will then be assigned to the Detective Bureau to have their background investigations completed. Once those background investigations are complete, 10 of those candidates will be given conditional offers of employment. The hope is, and through the conversation that we have had with PFM, that the timing of their study and the wrap up of the background checks will align and will not further delay the process. From there, those individuals will be sized for uniforms and equipment, and they'll be scheduled for medical clearances with a projected late August start date. Once the onboard happens and they're here, they will spend a couple weeks doing internal training to ensure they meet the same operational standards that we expect from our volunteers. Understand that this is a critical step, not only to confirm their skill proficiency, but to also align them with our operational model and culture. The goal here is a seamless integration so we can maintain continuity and consistency in how we serve you. After training is complete, the firefighters will be assigned to 2 shifts of 5 firefighters each day, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. This model allows for flexibility and enables 2 people to be off at a time while maintaining a minimum of 3 personnel on duty at all times to work alongside our volunteers. These career personnel will play a key role in augmenting our current stipend staff units and will help fill the most critical daytime coverage gaps. While their regular assignments are daytime shifts, we are also prepared to use overtime strategically to cover known nighttime vacancies, ensure that we always have adequate staffing for you. We understand this is a major step forward in our community, but with a sustainable plan that supports our volunteers, strengthens our emergency response, and reinforces our commitment to public safety. Thank you all for being here today, and we would love to answer any further questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director Kashiba and Deputy Fire Chief Graham. We're going to move on to public comment on this topic. I would just like to remind everybody to please limit your comments to 5 minutes. I will raise my hand at 5 minutes. If you need more time, please take it. This is an important topic. Mr. Packer requested that the board give him 5 to 10 minutes, so I'll allow him to speak first. Again, if anybody has any additional comments or wants to co-sign prior speaker comments, please feel free to do that as well. Mr. Packer.
John Packer, 5723 Kenwood Avenue. Thank you, Madam Chair, for indulging me and giving me the opportunity to speak and a little extra time. I've prepared an opening statement, and I think you might have stole some of my thunder, but I will probably quickly go over some of your comments. So I start out, I want to read a Bible verse, and I came across this last week after the meeting. Philippians 2, 3, and 4 says, "Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others. So I pray my words here tonight are able to drive home a point that that's our goal here, is that we seek the ability to look past ourselves and we look to help our fellow man, citizens, neighbors. The brave men and women, some are seated here tonight, many were here about a month ago for a meeting. They deserve our respect and our support, and I'm here tonight to lay out my perspective as to the state of the career firefighter implementation and support them 100%. I'll use the information that I give to you, that I derive most of it from the township's website, so it is there for your purview. But I've also put a copy of what I have and what I just gave the chairwoman over there, so feel free to take them. I don't know if there's enough for everybody, and maybe you don't care. Lastly, I'll also address the conduct of a particular supervisor in regards to his actions and statements that I feel have been misleading, inappropriate, and dishonest. I've spent many hours over the past days going through many of these documents, and I use those to support my conclusion, as the chair stated, that this is really a done deal. This is over. This has already been decided. This has already been vetted out. This has already been debated, and this has already been voted on and decided. So one little caveat that I have that I'm going to use throughout the night is words matter. And even as of today, yesterday, a reposting of a Facebook post from the township uses the phrase, "come to comment on whether Lower Paxton should hire." In the picture it says, "do you favor adding firefighters?" News release dated the 13th, and then after the news release conducted by interim Supervisor McCormick, an immediate press release was put out. And again, I won't read it all, but it's there for you to look at. We are looking at hiring. Again, we are looking at hiring. Whether we hire, anticipate potentially hiring. This has been all within the past month. As you heard her say, this has basically been a done deal since last December when the budget was passed. These two gentlemen over here, these guys back here, the chiefs, the presidents, they have put in an enormous amount of time. An enormous amount of time. So to put out the belief or the notion that we're at a point where we're at more at a beginning than an end is just so misrepresenting what the work that they have done to this point. I'll quickly run over some of the documents that I pulled information from, and again, it's over there if you want it. On June 4th, the previous board duly enacted and ordained into law ordinance number 2024-02, and that in that it says to formally recognize the inclusion of a career township fire and rescue services. It's on the township website. June 19th, they published the budget calendar. There's 10 dates for the budget that was open to the public. Towards the end of the process, according to Commonwealth law, they have to put it in legal ads or whatever avenue they use, and it has to be posted for 20 days. It was done. Again, another opportunity for anybody in the public to come see what was done, what was being discussed and talked about. And it's on the website. So we move to the budget process, starts in July. Department heads, managers meet. All the departments put in their proposed budgets, which the two gentlemen here do as well. In the notes, it says the proposed increase of 1.2 mils is for paid career staffing and related costs. It calls for the hiring of 8 full-time firefighters and 2 lieutenants, which totals 10. Again, anybody could have gone to the meetings. November 26th, lengthy meeting about it, but the end result is Mrs. Lindsay concluded the supervisors are good with the positions and nobody dissented. We move to the next meeting of December 17th. It's on the agenda to adopt the resolution and adopt the budgets officially. Little discussion because they've talked about it at least 10 times in public. So there was a motion, it was seconded, and it was approved. The following day, the assistant township manager at the time puts out the budget officially. And again, it's in there. The tax millage rate from 0.6365 raised to 1.240 mils to fund the career fire staff for safety, protection of citizens and property within our ever-growing township. So again, it's over and over. That put an end to it. It was passed and it was approved. So I'm going to jump forward to quickly touch on the study that's being done. It kind of, I guess, is what it is. I don't totally agree. But here again, words matter. So this was 2 months ago. April 15th is when it was entered into. It was signed by the township manager. And this is what it says under the scope of work. The township has, words matter, authorized the creation of 10 new career firefighter positions to be filled this year and increased the fire real estate tax millage rate to cover the compensation for these new employees. Again, it's not on the website. I did a right to know request for the contract, but it is in there. June 4th, 2025, This and That podcast featuring interim supervisor Alan McCormick, topic of conversation, what we're talking about right now. There's many misrepresentations, misleading statements, incomplete or false information, and just some out and out lies. During Mr. McCormick's performance, he made many quotes. I will only go over 3 of them. The first, those saying we need 10 firefighters are mouthing words from ignorance. That is false. I take great umbrage with you calling people ignorant. It is you who stand above all in the category of ignorance. You are completely and utterly dismissive and demeaning to the director, Chief Graham, the fire chiefs, the association presidents, and anybody who's had a hand in developing this program from the beginning. How dare you? It's disgraceful for someone in your position. Number 2, the fire tax was increased and justified for 10 career firefighters, but it's not. And again, words matter. It's not linked to that. It's linked to the Bureau of Fire in general. I've just read to you and given you specific quotes where it tells you through township official documents that it has been approved. And it is directly tied to the tax increase. That is what the tax increase was to pay for and pay for alone. The third one, we don't know if 10 is the right number. Chief Fogg, who's sitting here, he's probably going to speak himself, has a plan for 12, 24/7, 365 coverage. This instance, I won't just say it's false, it just doesn't matter at this point because it's already been approved. I don't know what more to say. It's there. You can read my report. So in closing, I just have a few other comments. While I was at the State Police Academy, every academy class comes up with a class slogan or saying. My class chose the following: if you're not part of the solution, you must be part of the problem. Mr. McCormick, at this juncture, I, among many others, see you as a large part of the problem. Your actions and comments on this issue have exhibited an abundance of ignorance, which has consistently misled and misrepresented on where this process stands and as it relates to approved decision-making already completed. You have failed to do proper due diligence to remain informed, which has resulted in dereliction in fulfilling the duties of your position. Stop failing the citizens of this township. The time has come for you to tender your resignation. Remove yourself from this board. Do the right thing and resign. In conclusion, I implore the other members of the board to be the solution. Allow our professionals, Director Kashiba and Chief Graham, and the others seated here that are involved directly with these fire departments. Let them do their work. Let them be the leaders that they are and push this thing across the finish line and implement the 10 firefighters with haste. And again, to all you guys, our first responders, fire, police, EMS, your dedication, commitment, and sacrifice is to be commended. So thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Packer. I do just want to remind everybody, we're giving everybody considerable leeway here, but our public remarks should be concise if possible, and we should try to stay away from disparagement. Feel free to criticize us, but we want to keep order and decorum during public comment. Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Bostic.
Good evening, Board of Supervisors, and certainly like to thank all of you for serving during a tough time coming on board. I considered doing it, and I'm glad I didn't get it. I'd rather be on this side reporting. Just a couple points. The one thing that I would like to see detailed a little bit more, I know it's in their official record. Unfortunately, we don't have a legitimate news source at the moment, but I'd like to understand more about the tax implications of hiring the 10 professional firefighters. I know in my own case, tax bill went up about $200 from 24 to 25. And I'm sure that this type of thing can be easily rectified, and I would certainly post whatever information you provide on Lincolnstown Gazette Facebook page. The only other thing I wanted to address was something I heard a few times in the meetings that you've been deliberating the Fire Bureau, and that is a general consensus that everyone is for this as long as it doesn't harm in any way our volunteers. And I've given it a lot of thought of that, and really what I've come up with is that the only reason that would happen is if the fire companies, the township, and the community at large, that we do not, as a group, seek to recruit new volunteer firefighters. But if we as a community, if we don't get our act together on recruitment issues, we could end up with more professional firefighters, bigger tax bills and all that. No one wants to see that happen. I mean, in my mind, as a longtime resident, I want to continue to see the volunteers drive our fire service. That would be my desire, and I think a lot of people share that. But what needs to happen? I can tell you I have no magic answers, but I can offer some help and suggestions on this issue. What I propose is that fire and public safety officials appear periodically on the podcast that myself and Joe Gilloway here have started. This and That, the podcast, from time to time, and update the public on what's going on and provide information through that venue. We hope to continue it for a long time, and that's an outlet that's available to you. And one of the benefits of teaming up with us is that when you go on the podcast with the video, by default, you're going to create what I call evergreen content that you can put on your website, on your social media sites, and it could stay there for quite a long time. We have the ability to break up an hour-long show into smaller segments and help out in that way. And this content also could be put on Lincolnstown Gazette's Facebook page, potentially This and That, the podcast page, and other places. People can share it in the community to help promote the idea of volunteering to be a firefighter. Now, I would gladly serve on a committee or task force charged with developing an ongoing recruitment campaign for the Township's Bureau of Fire. So that's really my comments. I want to be sure everyone checks out our podcast, go to Lincolnstown Gazette, follow it, and all that kind of thing. Potentially, what I've done for quite a long time, unsuccessfully, we can turn that around as I move towards retirement and we get a legitimate news source. If not this, maybe something else will pop up. That's my desire. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bostic. And just to address your initial question, and we've already paid these taxes, so anybody can go on, if you search Dauphin County property tax rolls, put your last name and it'll tell you exactly what amount you paid in fire tax. But based on the average assessed home value of $157,500, at 0.635 mils, property owners in the past paid around $100 annually. At the current 1.24 mils, that property owner will now pay $195. So the $95 increase equals approximately $8 a month. Is there any other public comment?
Members of the board, good evening. My name is David Dowling. I live at 2132 Sycamore Drive. I'm really not sure the purpose of this meeting, if, as you say, this is a done deal. It is my understanding that the only person sitting before me who voted during this process was Mr. McCormick. Am I right on that?
Supervisor Thompson was on the, are you
Okay.
talking about the tax increase?
No, the decision to go forward with the paid firefighters. So two members of the board were on that board at that time.
Can I take that?
Go ahead, Supervisor Thompson.
So we voted to pass the budget on December 17th, 2024. That's when the decision to hire the firefighters, the hiring of the firefighters was part of that
Okay.
budget that we passed on December 17th, 2024. I am the only remaining board member sitting from that time period.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies that. Well, I want to thank all of you for volunteering, because you are all volunteers. And I want to thank you for your service. I too am a township volunteer and have been so for 35 years. Our firefighters are volunteers. I think what the prior board did was a mistake. And I'll tell you why. And I don't know that you can correct it. I don't know if you can pass a correcting amendment. I don't know if you can pass another legislation to do that. I don't really know if you're inclined to do that. But let me tell you why I think they made a mistake. When you say we need 5 or 10 or maybe even 12 paid employees, what are you saying to the guys back here? What are you saying to them? You're not good enough. That's what you're saying. You need help. I don't think they need help. I don't think you'll find a more dedicated group of volunteers in any fire company anywhere in this area than the guys behind me. I just don't think you will. I don't think they need help. I don't think we need paid firefighters. If Socrates were here, you know what he'd say? He'd be older than I am, okay? He'd say, why are you trying to change something that works so well? Why are you doing this? What are you saying to the firefighters? The volunteers that get up in the middle of the night and come out and do their job. They do it because they're volunteers. They like this township. They love the township. And they love their job, just like you do. You're not here for the money. I've already addressed the reasons, the financial reasons, in a letter to all of you, and I think they're obvious what this will cost per man for first year, for second year. It's really headed towards a completely paid fire company. That's where it's going, and I don't think we need it. I think the guys here do a phenomenal job. So let's just look at this hypothetical. Suppose you listed all of the township employees and workers on a sheet of paper. Put them in whatever order you want, from supervisors to township officials to everyone. And somewhere mixed in there, you had volunteer firefighters. And you asked the residents of this township, who do you admire most? Who do you respect most? Who do you trust most? I'm going to tell you something. These guys would be the top of the list because they're volunteers. They're not paid. If you change that list around and put paid firefighters, they'd be somewhere down in the middle with the rest of us. They would. We're upsetting something that works so well in this township with such dedicated people. They're respected, they're admired, and I just think the board made a mistake by trying to change that system. So if indeed this board can't correct it if it wanted to, I think it could. But this is what I suggest. I don't know how long this contract is for these firefighters. But given the fact that the majority of this board did not vote in favor of it, I recommend that the new firefighters be put on a 2-year contract. and then at the end of 2 years, this board votes on whether or not we need paid firefighters, whether or not we want to have more paid and fewer volunteers, and decide what this has done to the morale of the volunteers. What's a volunteer going to think if he's out fighting a fire and he's risking his life, and standing beside him is a guy doing the same thing, but he's getting paid to do it? What's that say to the volunteer? I've taken enough of your time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dowling, for your comments. Any other? Mr. Lindsay.
This is going to shock you, but I wasn't going to speak. My name is Joe Lindsay. I live at 6244 Overview Lane. And I have the utmost respect for Mr. Dowling, and he knows that because I know his dad, rest his soul, was a fantastic judge in Dauphin County for years. They called him Hanging Judge Dowling. He was a great, great judge. Right or wrong, Dave?
Well, some people.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with Mr. Dowling. All 3 fire departments in writing submitted agreements or letters that they agreed with the career firefighter program that was going to be implemented in Lower Paxton Township. I have the utmost respect for volunteers as well. And it's not going to take anything away from the volunteer firefighters. They have other responsibilities besides being volunteers. They have their families, they have their careers, they have their own lives. And this program, and I know you all know this, but for people at home, this is to supplement or subsidize that period of time from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. that we don't have a lot of volunteers there to answer the bell, so to speak. This will take care of that. And if anybody would have been here May 13th, when all the firefighters were here with the chiefs and the presidents, they were begging for help. They were tired. They were exhausted. So I'm going to respectfully take a different view than Mr. Dowling here. I think the past board did a great job, and their decision was not just made on a whim. I'm going to just read something very, very quickly out of the letter that was authored by former assistant manager Miller when he submitted the proposed budget. And under taxation and charges, fees for adopted 2025 budget. And you may have it with your paperwork that Mr. Packer handed you earlier, madam. In response to continued stress on the largest populated community in Pennsylvania, still serviced solely by volunteer firefighters, and implementation of recommended measures from a comprehensive independent study on fire and emergency vehicle or emergency medical services completed in 2022, the township budget, yada, yada, yada. Those 5 members of that board spent $50,000 of taxpayers' money to get an outside party to come in and do a study. And based on that study, they made the decision to do what they felt was best, not for the paid firefighters, but for everybody that lives and works in this community. And I'm asking you, members of this board, to do the right thing, and let's move on, because we have a lot more serious problems than our career firefighter program. We are losing a lot of employees, and we'll leave it at that. That's your biggest problem right now. Thank you very much.
Mr. Lindsay. Is there any other public comment on Career Fire Bureau? Mr. Fogg.
Yes, ma'am. John Fogg, 6293 Stable Court, and the chief of the Colonial Park Fire Company. I don't have any problem with public comment. I encourage it because I like to make sure everybody has the full purview of exactly what transpired and what the gaps are, what the strengths are, and I think everybody's entitled to that. It's not the board asking to hire. How many of our volunteers are here? How many volunteers we got here? How many think we need to hire because we need help? Right? And of the public, I would simply ask, how many believe the township is big enough to say that we need some sort, you can debate the numbers all day long, but some sort of guaranteed fire protection in the township? And I think that becomes the problem, is just a lack of information and decisions that were made maybe a little bit in a vacuum and maybe without education. But we have gaps, and if we have gaps, that means people can die. You're not taking my fun away, you're not taking my hobby away by hiring people, you're ensuring the township is safe. And that is the overall goal, I would hope, of anybody in public safety in any township. There's a whole lot of other things we could talk about. I know the ISO rating came up. We have a fairly good ISO rating. Again, I don't want misinformation later to bite us and say that we did something and we told somebody something that didn't happen. The ISO rating may go down, but it can't go down much, and I wouldn't expect a huge tax savings in terms of insurance from that, simply because we already have a 3. We can only go to a 2 and a 1, and even doing that is not going to be hundreds of dollars. You're probably talking tens of dollars. So I don't want somebody to go out of this meeting thinking that that ISO statement is something that's going to benefit people tremendously, and that's why you're in favor of hiring. Ideally, you'd be in favor of hiring because we have gaps that we can't guarantee coverage, and that's a chance of people to get hurt and killed. And that's as simple as it is. The number is debatable. It's been debated. Chief Graham and I haven't agreed on everything. We've debated numbers. We've debated timeframes. But the end of the day, we need help to guarantee there's not a gap in coverage. The trust statement, if you've ever looked at any of to Judge Dowling, the top careers in the I think New York Times runs an article every year about the most trusted careers. Firefighters usually number 1 or 2. And they don't separate it, and we don't plan to separate it as paid or volunteer. I would hope they're all trusted. And if they don't have public trust, I think we've shown that we'll take that problem out of the equation to guarantee that there is public trust in the fire department. Because that is a crucial step for any public safety job, is to have the trust of the public. And if somebody sacrifices that, they don't deserve to be in public safety in any position. I think there was one more comment. There was a comment on the podcast, the This and That podcast, that we don't know why our stipend program gets 98% versus 48% for Lower Merion. And I thought we answered it at the meeting we had here with the 3 fire companies. I believe, and I don't have the exact numbers, Lower Merion stipends a different number of positions than we do. So I'm a fan of numbers and statistics. I thoroughly enjoy analyzing numbers, but percentages are simply that, they're percentages. So we're stipending up to 12 slots a day, and I believe Lower Merion is stipending 4 slots a day. So doing the math, if we went by the 4 slot number, we're probably looking at an average percentage of 150% stipend every day, not 48%. But because we're stipending more slots, that changes the math on the percentages. And I don't have the exact numbers. Chief Graham may, what the percentages and numbers would look like from day to day. But I'd venture to guess we're probably averaging, in the 4 to 8 area every day, usually available. But again, there's gaps where we just don't have coverage, and the goal would be to have coverage 100% of the time to guarantee everybody's safe. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fogg. Any other public comment? Mr. Packer, round 2.
Well, just a quick comment, but then a question to the chief. We all get wrapped up in fire. My background is in law enforcement for 25 years as a state trooper. More than likely, nobody here, or very few, will experience a fire. But you very well may be in a car crash. A family member may be in one. May have a medical emergency. And these are the same guys coming, whether they're putting out a fire or whether they're responding to something like that. So it's not, everybody talks fire, and I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that is not all they do. That there is so much more, that they're doing for us in this community. Chief, to go along with what Chief Fogg, and I know you probably may not have the answers, but to put it in layman's term for those at home sitting here, where are we at? How many shifts, how many calls can these guys not respond to because they don't have adequate numbers?
So there's a lot that goes into that question. And one of the things that we talked about with the comparison to Upper Marion versus us, Upper Marion geographically is about half the size of us. We have 28 square miles, and I believe they're somewhere in the neighborhood of 16. And they have about 33,000 people, where we have 55 to 56,000. So there's a time and distance component there that we have to look at. The other thing that we have to look at is Upper Marion already has a 24/7 staffed career engine along with their single stipend volunteer engine. What we do currently is we stipend an engine in each one of our 3 firehouses because we believe that we need 3 fire stations, because it's not reasonable to think that Colonial Park alone can cover the entire township, or Paxtonia or Lingelstown alone. If you think about if you live off of Union Deposit Road and you're relying on a response from Lingelstown Road, that's not exactly reasonable. So that is why we do what we do, and that's why it's so important that we ensure that we have all 3 of our fire stations staffed. So to Mr. Packer's point, I cannot point out to you any one incident where we have not eventually showed up and handled one of your challenges, because we'll get there eventually. What we're trying to do is make sure that we get there as fast as possible and mitigate your problem before it becomes a bigger problem. I don't know if everybody's aware, and this isn't a shot at any of our EMS providers, because they do a great job, but I like to characterize what we have going on right now in the fire service is more or less an overrun of resources. We have so many resources to offer. We only have, so much of a pot. These volunteers only have so much time to give, that they're sacrificing family time. Some of these people are getting in trouble at home because they spend too much time at the firehouse, things like that, just to add a little humor, but it's true. And if you listen to the May 13th meeting, one of our assistant chiefs actually got up and spoke about that very thing. But our call volume has gone up exponentially, and it's overrun our resources. So it's not that our volunteers are failing anybody, it's just they only have so much to give, and we're overrunning our resources, and it's not getting any better. EMS is in the same predicament. They only have so many resources, and their call volume is 2, 3, 4 times what ours is. So what's the impact to that? We start responding to assist them, so that when you're in cardiac arrest or when you have a medical emergency, we can get trained providers to you as fast as possible. If any of you have looked at the job description for the firefighters we're looking to hire, they're also required to be emergency medical technicians, and many of our volunteers are as well. So our goal is, no matter what your emergency is, to get a fire truck to you as soon as possible. In fact, our goal is 5 minutes. We would like to have a fire truck from the time you call 911 to sitting in front of your house in, at most, 5 minutes. We do a pretty good job, but like Chief Falk said, we have gaps, and we've tried many things to recruit and bring in new members. In fact, since I've gotten here in beginning of 2023, we have processed 95 to 100 applications. I didn't count them up recently, but the last time I checked, it was 95 new applications for the 3 fire companies. Only about 17 of those have actually followed through and became productive members of the organizations. Now, that sounds pretty good. We got 17 new members. Now, the odds aren't really good with the total numbers, but we've also lost people in that time. Okay, we've had members that have had changes in social status. One of our members, found a new relationship and it moved them to the West Shore. They're not around as much anymore. We had people get new jobs. We've had people graduate college that were live-ins and they moved back home out of the area. There's been a lot of those examples that happen, and that's not, that's not germane to Lower Paxton Township. That's just the reality of the volunteer fire service. I talk to our mutual aid partners almost on a daily basis, and we talk about what their staffing look like and what our staffing looks like, because we rely on each other.
But the problem is, they're experiencing the same problems. We just hope that it doesn't all align on the same day and we don't have any coverage at all. We've gotten pretty lucky so far. Some days have been hit or miss, but we've gotten pretty lucky. I wish I could sit here and tell you that we didn't have any fire services, fire stations or fire apparatus out of service today. But if I told you that, I would be lying to you. This has been system status management. It is a daily chore. I don't want to call it a chore, but it's been a daily process to make sure that we move people around. Today we moved people from one fire station to another to staff because we had a driver in one, but didn't have a driver in another. We're doing those things, okay? But the result of it is one of our fire stations is out of service, and if you call 911, it's going to take us a little longer to get there. These guys do tremendous work. I work alongside them day in and day out. And I've never had anybody get upset at me because I was getting a paycheck and they weren't, but that's a conversation for a different day. But at the end of the day, we're all here for the right reason. We want to make sure you're taken care of. This is just one more step in that direction to make sure that when you're in need, we're there for you.
Is there any other public comment? Going once. Going twice. Okay, I know that a lot of you are here for this topic, so if you'll indulge me, I'll allow the board members to give any comments that they would like to give, and then I'll allow everybody a few minutes to excuse themselves. Board member comment.
So I do have a comment. I have a prepared statement that I want to put into the record. I am the only board member sitting here today that holds the institutional memory from the budget results that we are talking about today. So I will go ahead and share my comments. Recent statements have inaccurately claimed that the prior Board of Supervisors set no goals, objectives, or timeline to address the firefighter staffing issue here in the Lower Paxton Township. I take exception to that. This inaccurate assertion is not only incorrect, but it also disregards the substantial and deliberate work undertaken over the past several years to ensure the township's fire protection services remain effective, sustainable, and most importantly, focused on public safety. On January 28, 2022, prior to my arrival, an RFP was sent out seeking bids for a comprehensive fire and emergency services organizational assessment with a deadline to submit of April 5th, 2022. Ultimately, the boss approved the hiring of Municipal Resources, Inc. to conduct this assessment, going forward known as MRI. This initiative brought together township staff and representatives from all three fire companies to evaluate our fire service model, operational effectiveness, and future needs. The result was a thorough, forward-looking report released in June of 2023, intended as a strategic planning tool for the board, township administration, and the fire company leadership, all with the ultimate objective of enhancing public safety. Following this study, the township hired its first full-time deputy fire chief to lead implementation of the MRI recommendations and oversee operations within the newly established Bureau of Fire. This action alone reflects the board's commitment to moving from assessment to action with professional leadership guiding the way. Guided by this comprehensive MRI analysis and under the direction from the board, the Director of Public Safety, Chief Kashiba, and Deputy Chief Graham began working directly with the volunteer companies to build a unified, sustainable fire service model. Additionally, the result was to serve as a benchmark across the Commonwealth. The goal was and is to increase efficiencies and, more importantly, public safety. In 2024, the board received and reviewed a detailed stipend-based staffing program designed to incentivize participation among existing volunteers and attract new members. One of the stated goals of that initiative was to improve in-station staffing to reduce response times in alignment with national best practices. This past summer, in an executive session, the board was advised that while the stipend program had improved in-station coverage, it had not generated a net increase in the volunteer ranks. The data clearly showed we did not have enough personnel to meet staffing demands. Hence, we have a firehouse out of service today. Staff recommended and the board supported the hiring of full-time career firefighters to supplement, I need to emphasize, supplement volunteer response during high-risk times of the day and week. A detailed compensation and health and benefits package was presented at that time and incorporated into the 2025 budget, which the prior board passed on December 17, 2024, per the requirements of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Second-Class Township Code. The boss worked with the township staff, the volunteer companies, and the public through properly advertised and attended meetings to make this a transparent, well-informed decision. Throughout this process, the board consistently emphasized that public safety was its top priority. Goals and objectives for the new career firefighters were clearly defined to supplement, not replace, our volunteers during times when data showed response gaps and elevated risk. When the 2025 budget was passed, the deputy chief advised that the hiring timeline was contingent on the physical agility testing schedule coordinated through a consortium and that the onboarding was projected for July 2025, so long as the application process officially began in January as planned. However, this was not the case due to delays at the hands of the, I won't even go into that, at whose hands it was at. While it is understandable that newer members of the board who assumed office in January 2025 may not be fully aware of the multifaceted groundwork that was laid before their tenure, it is crucial to acknowledge and build upon the strategic steps already taken. The path forward is clear, and now is the time to focus our collective efforts on continuing that momentum. Let us return our focus to what matters most, ensuring the safety of our residents and firefighters, and move forward in unity on this issue at least, rather than revisiting narratives that overlook and deny the substantial time, effort, and thought that was made towards achieving substantial progress. I will be handing my notes to the board secretary so that they can be made part of the record.
Thank you, Supervisor Thompson. Is there any other board comment?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a couple of comments. Several people have made comments about my trying to educate and investigate this matter. It's a technicality, but it is the truth, that fire tax must be spent on fire, on the Fire Bureau. It doesn't necessarily have to be spent on firefighters. Now, you may not like that technicality, but that's actually the technicality. I'm not saying we are or are not going to hire what number of firemen, because I agree that our fire companies need help. I will tell you that the MRI report said specifically that it was the Board of Supervisors should be actively involved with the broad spectrum of firefighters and the public. It was my opinion, whether you disagree or agree, that we didn't do a great job of interviewing the public and interviewing the Board of Supervisors didn't do a great job. I'm not saying that Director Kashiba and Deputy Fire Chief Graham haven't done a good job, because they have. They've done an outstanding job. I don't believe the board, one of the things called out in the MRI report was that the Board of Supervisors needed to give goals, objectives, and vision, a vision of what the future of the Bureau of Fire should look like. I don't think the board did that. I could be wrong, absolutely could be wrong. but to say I was dishonest would be incorrect. I took an oath when I took this position. I served in the military for 24 years. I took an oath there too. I fulfilled that oath to the best of my ability, and I will fulfill the oath that I've taken here to the best of my ability. You may disagree with me, you may not like me, you may criticize me, but don't tell me I'm dishonest. I'm doing what I believe is the right thing to do. Now, there's a multiple number of questions that I still have. People have given me information this evening about Upper Marion Township being smaller in size. I knew that. But I'm still not understanding why they get, and maybe it's just the number that they're using, the number 4 versus us using the number of 12. I don't know, maybe that is it. Somebody said that this evening. I think Chief Fogg and maybe Deputy Fire Chief Graham said that this evening. Neither one of them told me that before. But I've been questioning, why does Upper Marion Township get 98% participation in stipend, and we get 48%. Nobody had given, up until today, nobody had given me that answer. I didn't know we had an answer to that. So, having taken an oath to serve you, the 55,000 people who I work for, I wanted to get that answer. In addition to that, what I learned was that many townships, many municipalities choose not to hire firefighters as township employees, but rather hire firefighters as employees of the volunteer fire companies. Now, I think we've investigated that, and I don't think we're actively considering that option anymore. But if you believe that we should move forward without investigating that option, I respectfully disagree with you. That's all. Again, I have taken an oath, and I will fulfill that oath the best I can. Nothing I've said or done has meant to be dishonest. It is an opinion, and everyone has their own opinions. I fully believe that this board will do the right thing. I also fully believe that we have excellent leadership in the Bureau of Fire, and they will do the right thing. But I do believe that this Board of Supervisors has an obligation to provide the vision. Look, I wish that we didn't have so many resignations on the Board of Supervisors. And if the 4 members of the Board of Supervisors who voted for those firefighters back in November had stayed on the board, perhaps we wouldn't be having this discussion today, but they didn't. They chose to leave. I believe it's worthwhile for the 4 new members of the board. Not only do I think it's worthwhile, I think it's their obligation to learn as much as they can and to do the right thing for the township. You know, everyone's talking about how we have great volunteer firefighters. I absolutely agree we have great volunteer firefighters, and fires are being put out. They've been put out by these volunteers since the 1930s. I don't know what happened so that last November, all of a sudden we had to have 10 firefighters immediately, career firefighters immediately, because I don't believe that's the case at all. I do think that our volunteer firefighters need help, and I think we should strategically place additional resources at their hands so that they can meet the needs of the public. I believe that. And I believe this board will get to the right answer. But I think that the number 10 is, I want to be kind. I don't believe that the number 10 was arrived at after careful consideration. One of the things I've talked about whenever people have asked me this question is that Chief Fogg, and by the way, I communicated with Chief Fogg. I asked him to outline the proposal for how we would implement, if we decided to go with 12, how we would implement the 12 and how we would get to 7 day a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day coverage, and he laid it out for me. I then went back to him and asked him if it would be okay if I would share this with other people. I have. I've shared it with all the other fire chiefs. I've shared it with the other members of the board, because I want us to make the most informed, the most prudent, the most responsible decision possible. Now, you may not agree with me, but that's my motivation. I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm not intentionally telling something that's not true. I strive in all of my words and actions to be truthful. So this board will come to some decision, and hopefully that decision will greatly respect the almost 100 years of volunteer fire service we have in this township. Because public safety is important, but the cost of that public safety is not something that our public safety people are tasked with balancing. The cost of that risk and reward with the ISO and with all the other things that are involved in this decision, that balance of risk and reward rests with this Board of Supervisors. And you guys can call for my resignation if you don't like me. You can defeat me in the polls in November. I understand all those things. Until then, I will do what I believe is the right thing for the people I work for, the 55,000 residents of this township. Notice I'm not saying taxpayers. I'm talking about all the residents, the older people, the younger people, the people that are not paying taxes. I think taxpayers are important, but I represent every one of those 55,000 people, or whatever the number is in this township, and I desperately want to do the right thing. But most importantly, whatever we do now, what decisions we make now are going to establish the foundation for what the Bureau of Fire looks like in 6 months, in 6 years, what it's going to look like for the next 60 years. You know, people have been criticized about about the contract we did to learn about how to pay and compensate our firemen. The question I would ask is, if the past board did a $50,000 MRI report, awarded her to get a report to how to increase. And by the way, if you saw how many total people they're recommending and potentially staffing, you would blanch, because it's a significant size full-time career fire force eventually. All I'm saying is that if the MRI report justified hiring of people, why didn't we know what the compensation would be, what the benefits would be, and what their retirement plan would be? Because we didn't know that when I came on the board. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying that piece was estimated, but it was not evaluated and determined. Again, a piece of the overall picture that I believe the board needed to know. We haven't slowed anything down. These guys can still hire. They're still on the same track, the same schedule that they started with. All we're doing is learning and understanding, and hopefully we do the right thing. Anybody would say that I'm motivated by anything other than my duty, I will say that that's incorrect. Respectfully, I disagree with you. I'm done, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Vecchio, Supervisor Najim, any public comment before moving on?
Madam Chair, I feel sorry for four of you on this bench tonight. And Mrs. Vecchio, you were not on the board on May 13th. But we had a meeting in here with all the firemen. Were you on the board on May 13th?
May 13th. I believe my appointment was April 29th, and I was sworn in a week later.
Were you here when all of the firemen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Okay.
I'm sorry. One of the firemen that spoke asked the board, how many of you support the career firefighter program? 4 out of 5 of you originally said yes. The 5th one jumped on board because he was the odd man out. Now, I'm going to ask that same question tonight. How many of the members of this Board of Supervisors tonight, after hearing everything over the last couple of months, and especially tonight, can tell your constituents that you support the career firefighter program?
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I think most of us are already on the record saying that we support the model.
All right. If that's the case, then I think, if my math serves me correct, it's 4-1. It's time to move on and knock off the BS and start taking care of the business in Lower Paxton Township instead of listening to a lot of BS, because that's just what we got done listening to. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay, and there's no other.
I have another comment, because Mr. Lindsay, those firefighters were here May 13th because of my insistence that we have that meeting. So I take credit for them being here. Mr. Lindsay said that it was a vote of 4-1. He has no idea how I'm going to vote on anything because he and I don't speak. That's all I wanted to say, Madam Chair.
Of course, we've given a lot of
It's not contentious.
leeway here. Please. Please.
Because I don't want it.
Why stop here?
My name is Kate Scheib. I live at 131 Oak Park Road. And I just want to say, I'm not a first responder. I come from a family of first responders. In the 60s, my dad, drinking Schmitz in the backyard, could hear the fire whistle from a distance, ran across the street, pushed the button, another fire whistle went off. They all grabbed their hats and they drove to the fire company. In the 70s, my boyfriend and my brother-in-law, during Sunday dinner, their scanners would go off because we got advanced. And I don't think they ever finished a Sunday dinner. Some folks here are saying, you know, we don't quite know why we don't have the volunteers. I just want to give two reasons. One is we've grown. We have almost 2,000 people per square mile. That's a dense population. But the second thing I really want to say is the son of my brother-in-law, he's 47 now, thank goodness. At the age of 40, as a volunteer firefighter, I got to learn the commitment that is now required to be volunteer. If people think it's like a gardener helping along a trail nowadays, these men and women spend hours taking training, wear layers and layers of equipment, not just a hat, and certainly don't drink Schmitz on a Sunday afternoon. However, my 40-year-old nephew was diagnosed with advanced colon rectal cancer that had a causal, direct connection to the time he spent and continues to spend as a volunteer firefighter, being exposed to chemicals that were not available in the 60s, to building structure materials that were not available. So these volunteer firefighters need to be commended for their time and their effort. My son-in-law is a career firefighter for the city of Bethlehem. I trust nobody more in the family when we happen to set the TV on fire during our holiday celebration. But the point is, he's also a bomb technician. We are moving in the direction of fires are intense, and these volunteers are putting their lives on their line and their family. So it's no longer just leaving Sunday dinner. I just wanted to tell, sometimes the general public doesn't understand. The term volunteer doesn't always mean show up when you want, come in unskilled, dress like you want. These folks are professionals. They're just not paid. And that's my scan of time. And I just wanted to share that with the public. It's a much different situation now. So thank you for allowing
Thank you,
me
Ms.
to do
Scheib.
that.
We appreciate
for your
that.
service.
We agree.
May I,
I will limit it to 1 minute since you've
it'll
already
be
had
very
to.
quick.
Thank you.
I'm going to again read from two different things quickly. Creation of the 10 new career firefighter positions to be filled this year and increase the fire real estate tax millage rate to cover the compensation for these new employees. And that's one document. The second one is the fire real estate tax millage. Again, the rates to fund career staff for the safety and protection of citizens and property within our ever-growing township. To say that the tax increase is not directly related to hiring career firefighters is an absolute out-and-out lie. Madam Chair, your beginning statement, will you clarify to the degree I believe that you can? Because it was implied again that we are looking, you, the 4 or 5 of you, are looking at a vote. A vote of what? Are you looking to rescind the ordinance? Are you looking to not follow the MRI?
Mr. Packer, can
what
I-
are you- Yeah, what are you looking to vote on to rescind?
My prior statement stands. We don't need to take any action. The prior board took action. They implemented the tax in anticipation of hiring career firefighters. We don't need to take any official action approving anything. It's been done. And I have not heard a motion for any vote opposing.
Agree, but there's a certain individual that keeps saying about a vote. I just want it to be clear for
Mr.
everyone.
Packer, the majority of this board is 3 to make any decisions. Thank you.
Jake Purdy, 4731 Duke Street. I was at the University of Maryland just less than 3 hours ago. I missed some of the first part of the meeting. Excuse me and correct me if I misspeak about something that's transpired since and any changes or anything. But you have a schedule. I keep hearing the schedule. Am I wrong in saying that one of the fire stations at one point, in at least 1 or 2 days in the past, had to say, we're out of service, we have no volunteers available today?
Correct.
Now, there's a schedule. You have a schedule. Fires don't follow a schedule. And the volunteers have a tough time following a schedule. When I first started volunteer firefighting, and I haven't been involved for 20 years. I mean, guys went into fires and just had no helmet, rarely breathing apparatus. Nowadays, you've got fires that it takes is a Milmac plate to burn, and it can kill a firefighter. And they've got to do training now that I don't know if 40 years ago I could have passed it. But when I watched when they just looked at you or somebody asked about a vote on the firefighting, and I only saw the only person that indicated was Supervisor Thompson that indicated a yes. And I'm not going to pin it on anybody, but please, like I said, fires don't follow a schedule. Your schedule may be out until August, but we don't know tomorrow if 1 or 2 of the stations won't be able to respond to the alarm. Thank you very much, and correct me if I misspoke and missed something from early in the meeting. Plus, I have to add, I'd have been here 10 minutes earlier, except the doors to the building are locked. You can get in the small door, but you can't get into the meeting room. Thank you very much. I tried rapping on windows and stuff. It was a little bit of a comedy.
Thank you, Mr. Purdy. And instead of taking additional time of all of the members of the public here, we will follow up with you after this meeting. Thank you. All right, we need to move on. There are a number of individuals here for the presentations for the local share municipal grant program. I'll allow 30 seconds for people to excuse themselves if they'd like to. Thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. All right, everybody, we'd like to reconvene the meeting, if that's okay. We want to give enough time to our presentations for the local share municipal grant program. Okay, moving on. We are now at action item number 6, presentations of the 2025-2026 Dauphin County Local Share Municipal Grant Program. Mr. Gutschall?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. As this board does annually, this evening the board will hear a number of presentations on this matter. What the township has historically done here in aid of various local community groups' pursuit of Dauphin County gaming grant funds is to, 1, hear these presentations, 2, board members individually rank these presentations with regard to their individual standing with regard to grant funding request prioritization, and then 3, you individually provide to me your rankings through which I then kind of codify those and submit to you the average ranks that will then produce from this body a number of resolutions that, number one, support the various grant applications, but also then allow conveyance of the applications to the county, then through which the applicant can go through the process from there. So this evening, I suspect a number of these applicants will be here to present their requests. I ask that each of the board members fill out your tally sheets, and then upon conclusion of this evening, provide those to me, and I'll get back next week with draft resolutions that you will adopt. So with all that said, the presentations are loaded on the agenda, and Chair, at your leisure, you can call upon the members and hear the presentations.
Great, thank you, Mr. Gottschall. We'll just go in order as listed on the agenda. Is anybody from Catholic Charities here that would like to present? Thank you. And thank you for your patience for the last hour and a half.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come here and talk to you about the project that we are proposing to the local gaming for Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Harrisburg. My name's Kelly Golick, and I'm the Executive Director. And one of our, multiple of our programs are located in Lower Paxton Township, including our St. Samuel's Center, which is a renovated nursing home that's located on 120 Willow Way. And in that nursing home, we house 4 different shelter programs. We are serving not only Lower Paxton Township, but the greater county of Dauphin, and actually the surrounding capital region with shelter services, including a recovery house for women, the only family shelter here in Dauphin County that's serving families in an emergency homelessness situation, as well as our maternity home, which is one of only a few in the entire state that works with women who are homeless and pregnant and in need of shelter. We were able to work with the women for up to about a year. So not only do they come to us when they are pregnant, then we work with them and teach them throughout their entire pregnancy, work with them to ensure that they have proper medical care, proper recovery supports and services, proper other referrals such as food. We work with them on employment, as well as parenting skills, how to take care of their babies, ensuring then once the baby is born that they are supported for about another 4 to 6 months after the baby is born, teaching them cooking skills, again, additional parenting skills, work with them to find housing as well as employment, so that when they leave our program, that they are ready to take care of their baby on their own. We are requesting support of the township for a proposed project for the Lord's House, which is a continuation of an existing project. We are renovating the facility where the women are staying, which had not been renovated since the 1970s, the early 1970s. And it had grotesque yellow and orange, kitchen appliances. It had an old, outdated industrial stove, which is not conducive to teaching somebody to cook for their child. So through work with local donors, we have been able to raise over $300,000, and we've started renovations on the Lord's House, which has included renovating the kitchen to make it more accessible for our women, so that they have stoves that they can work on and learn how to cook on that are the same kind of stoves they're going to have in their own apartment. We have added a security vestibule. So previously, when you opened the door, anybody could walk in. It was locked, but once the door was open, anybody could walk in. We have now created a secure vestibule so that when somebody comes to see our women, they're kind of locked between 2 doors before we can let them in. And part of this renovation has gone out into the dining room where we have added cabinets for them. We've added a beautiful breakfast nook. We've redone the floor out there. And now we're going to request funding through the gaming to continue what I'm referring to as Phase 3. So Phase 1 was kitchen, Phase 2 was vestibule. Phase 3 is dining room and common area, where we want to renovate, continuing to create a homey, welcoming environment for up to 16 moms with their 16 babies in our shelter, so that we can teach them, support them, so that when they go on their own, that they can take care of their babies. We are going to request up to $75,000 to continue with this project, but as I've said, we've already raised about $300,000, and we've already started phases 1 and 2 of the project. Do you have any questions? Well, the completion date then, with the fact that we would be asking for gaming funds, would not be until next summer, because the application for gaming goes in September, and then we need to wait until spring of '26 to find out if we receive an award, and then once we receive the award, then we can begin the next phase. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So you said so far that you've raised $300,000?
Yes.
And you've already started Phase 1 and Phase 2. They're going on simultaneously?
Yeah, and they're actually almost completed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you won't be able to start Phase 3 until after
the gaming money. Yeah.
you get the game. So 26.
Yeah, 26.
Okay.
But right now, and I would invite anybody, if you're interested, to come for a tour of the St. Samuel Center so you can see what services are being provided here in Lower Paxton Township. They are life-changing programs. I'm happy to show you what we've already done. So currently, the renovations that we are finishing up, the facility is functional. It's not disrupted in any way, shape, or form. We're not leaving anything unattended at this point as we finish up the current renovations. Then this would just pick up where we've left off and then continue moving on. We don't do anything at Catholic Charities unless we have the money first. That's just the way.
That's your policy?
Yeah, that's the way we work. So we will be soliciting additional donors to help us, as well as this gaming funds to take on the next phase.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And Phase 3 is $75,000? I know that you mentioned your entire project budget was around $300,000.
It's an additional 75 on the 300 we've already raised, and that's our target at this point, yes.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay.
Thank you so much
Thank
for your time.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, is technology for me here? Thank you, sir, for your patience as well.
No problem. Thank you. I spent 23 years in the Air Force. I know a little bit about patience. So, all right. So good evening. My name is Merrick Green, 2291 Forest Lane. I am here to talk about Technology for Me's grant, continuing to bridge the digital divide. The project aims to address growing technological disparities among students in Dauphin County by providing computers and comprehensive training programs by equipping underserved students with the necessary tools and knowledge. So I moved here in 2021, like right after COVID, and one of the things that I realized is that students in school were kind of just pushed into technology. A lot of them had it at home and a lot of them didn't. And the ones that did not have technology at home were probably the ones that suffered the most. And so I moved here, I created this nonprofit, and I started working here in Dauphin County in Lower Paxton Township to try to bridge that digital divide. And I did that starting with schools. So some of the schools, and thank you, first of all, for the support over the last 2 years for the gaming grant and technology for me. And in those last 2 years, what I've been able to do is work with some local schools in Harrisburg, ventured out to Steelton, and what I've learned also, and now what I'm working for in the future is Dauphin County Technical School. And so I got an opportunity to tour Dauphin County Technical this year and work with some of the staff there, and not only provide technology, but also expertise from my personal business, MG4 Tech, and some internships to some students, two of which are here in Harrisburg, and one, I believe, lives across the river. What we've been able to do is provide them not only the expertise with professional, real-world job training and internships, but also provide them a device. And one of the kids, a young man, actually provided him a device, helped him start a business, and now he has his own graphical design company, which is pretty cool. So I actually leverage him in my personal business to do some of the graphics for me. But over the last 2 years, what I've seen and proved is that this program actually works. So we get computers, we give them away. And in the future, what I figured out was there's a program called the Computers for Life. Being in the military, the GSA program buys computers, and every 3 years, the government decides to get rid of them, but they actually will give them away to people who request them. And so this year, my request in the gaming grant is not just to buy computers, but it's actually to tech refurbish or buy hard drives, teach kids how to replace hard drives in computers, load operating systems, and previously owned computers. So we're actually using technology that exists out there, teaching them a skill, how to build it, how to tinker with it, how to use it, and not just going out and giving them something new, but leveraging some old technology that is out there. So last year we gave away 16 computers, and we plan to give away more middle school students to high school students, even some adults. In 2025, I was awarded the gaming grant for $10,000. I plan to purchase laptops and, like I said, the hard drives or computers to the GSA Computers for Learning program. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding. We've actually been able to, make some people learn some things and give them jobs and help teach them how to create jobs with this program. And so I'm hoping that in 2026, you guys will continue to support. I will continue to do the work and keep on working with these kids and these adults to bridge this digital divide that exists in the community today. Any questions?
Just a quick clarification. So you're looking to purchase 100 laptops and then also provide training, which would be used. The grant would be used for that purpose.
Yep, and I provide the training personally. I have a board and some other people that I work with here locally that volunteer their time and work with these students in their desires to learn more about technology. So the grant basically pays for hardware.
Great. Thank you so much. Board.
What are your other fundraising options?
So I write other grants for like D&H Care. So D&H, because they're here locally, actually take a lot of the gaming grant money, and I essentially buy my products from D&H, so I keep it here local in the community. One of the fundraisers that I'm planning is some Mardi Gras themed party. I'm from New Orleans originally, so I want to plan a party that is kind of focused around New Orleans cuisine and use that as a fundraiser because it's unique and different, and I feel like people would come out for something like that because New Orleans is a cool place.
How did the kids learn about your technology program?
So I go into schools, and so I do a lot of outreach in the schools, and so like in Steelton, at SciTech, at the Nativity School, is simply like reaching out to the school administration and let them know what I do and find out if they have any kids that are in that digital divide space. There is a survey or a form that they fill out online and basically asks demographic questions like, do you have a computer at home? What's your annual income? Things like that. So I collect the data so I can see who we're giving these devices to. And then from there, depending on if I have the funds to purchase computers or if I'm getting them from the CFL program, which I hope works out really well, and I just get a lot more computers at a lesser rate, and I just distribute them from there.
Okay, and before you all give the computers to the students, I believe I read in the submission that they go through was it a 10-week training?
It's an 8-week training program. So during the summertime, they have the option for these 8 weeks to interact with me over that time, to go through those weeks of training. The other thing that we do is that, so on Friday, for example, the 10 students that graduated from Nativity School, we will sit down with them, we will unbox the computers. There are 10 students that are going to Sci Tech, Dauphin County Tech, Trinity, Bishop McDevitt, and I think one other school, maybe the Cougar Academy or Harrisburg Academy. So we're going to sit down with them and go through the laptop, open it up, unbox it, show them how to use it, and then we actually keep in touch with them as they matriculate through school. 2 students that we gave last year too, the one ended up at Howard University, the other one is at Harrisburg University, and we actually still keep in touch with them to see how it's going and how the device is impacting them in their studies in school.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's clear from your submission that you've had an impact, and thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Lingelstown Baseball Association.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Nathan Garman. I'm a resident of the township, 2306 Norwalk Drive, and I have been on the Lingelstown Baseball Board for the last 5 years and president for the last 2. We've had a lot of success at Lingelstown Baseball leveraging the gaming grant, and one of the things we've always aimed to do is to pursue the gaming grant, continue to work hard with our local sponsors and our fundraising efforts, and direct everything back into physical improvements in Coons Park. We understand we don't own Coons Park, it's not our park, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you we didn't love that place. I left our All-Star festivities tonight, and we got, close to 100 kids out there running around having a great time. And I've also seen, the public programs in the park, other schools utilizing the fields and things like that, and it's great to be able to see the improvements that we've made and we've leveraged, and certainly enjoy as the baseball organization, also be enjoyed by the township as a whole. So our project this year that we're trying to, or for this coming up, this grant round coming up for the gaming grants, we're looking at replacing the fencing around Michael Jones Field, which is Field 5. We call it our Majors Field. It's the field with the clubhouse and the lights, right there as you come into Coons Park from North Mountain Road. So we've that fencing is the last fencing on the fields to be replaced. We successfully leveraged gaming grants with funding and support from the township and Parks and Rec in the past to replace the fencing at our Legion Field, which is Field 3 up on Balthaser, close to the football field, and would like to come back now and replace this fencing. It is worn. There's some safety issues around. You can see the exposed poles and how the fence is rolled up. Certainly it affects the play of the game. Balls escape from the fence and things like that, but also safety concerns when the kids are going as hard as they can to try to catch a foul ball and things like that. We also have gates that don't stay shut, or we've had to kind of lock shut because they fall off the hinges, which presents a little bit of a safety hazard. So that all would be best, to kind of be directed to fixed and replaced. And then a couple years ago, we had a tree fall in right center field, which there's a picture in the application there. We had a playoff game that night, and a bunch of boys refused to not have their playoff game. So coaches and they went out and just literally were hauling branches off of right field so they could play. So this is our focus for the gaming grant this round. We're very thankful of the support we get from the community. We have a lot of sponsors. We have a lot of success in local fundraising. We will utilize that fundraising effort along with the gaming grant to spruce up this field and get it to where I believe will be the nicest Little League field in Lower Paxton Township. Just this past year, we've invested $20,000 of our fundraising dollars into this field. We just revitalized the playing surface, brand new field conditioner, new sod, a new clay base around home plate. We converted, if anyone's familiar with youth baseball, which I might be boring some people, but we've converted the traditional 46-60 dimensions of a Little League field to also allow for 50-70 dimension play. So the mound moves back a little further, the bases are a little further apart, but not yet full-size baseball field. So we made that conversion, so it gives us a little bit of flexibility in the future. And we've also installed a new scoreboard and a new sound system. So this fencing, like I said, will really make this a gem in Coons Park and in Lower Paxton Township. With that, I'll answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you.
I'll start.
Yeah, sure.
How old is the fence?
I am not certain how old the fence is, although I've been around Linglestown baseball for quite a while, and that fence has always been there.
Okay. Do you have an estimate on what it's going to cost to replace that fence?
So our estimate is in there and broken down. I will admit this is based off of past work we've done, so I would certainly want to get an updated estimate from a contractor that would do this work. But I mean, I adjusted for some inflated costs based on some. We talked with Parks and Rec about recent fencing projects they've done, and my estimate of what I think needs to be done. But certainly we would get a stronger estimate as we move forward.
Okay. What age group do you all target?
So we are 5 through 19. Over 400 baseball participants in our program, everywhere from T-ball the whole way up to Pennsylvania Legion, or American Legion baseball.
All right. So you all will be able to hang on until next year?
In terms of our play?
In terms of the fence?
Oh yes, we've been operating with this fence as is. Actually, if anyone's interested in seeing a great playoff baseball game, there will be one tomorrow night on that field. So yes, it is not stopping us from playing baseball. Certainly is, would be a wonderful needed improvement with the conditions of the fence and as it continues to age, but it is not stopping us from playing now.
So what just 2 examples of your fundraising efforts?
Sure. So we do a sponsorship program every year. So we raise money from local businesses that sponsor our teams. They have a sponsorship on jerseys. We also, if you've been to Coons Park anytime recently, you'll see the signs. We've worked with Parks and Rec on the design of our outfield signs that are temporary during the season on the inside of the fence. So community partners can purchase a sign to advertise on the fence. You can also sponsor a golf tournament we hold every year. So we do all kinds of sponsorship programs like that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You indicated that this was one of the final projects for the association, or are there additional projects and you anticipate applying again?
Well, there's always
Yeah.
projects. But in terms of, not to toot our horn too much, but Coons Park is looking great, and this I think is going to really make it be in excellent shape. Like I said before, we love that place and we enjoy investing back into it, and we take a little pride in the way these fields look. So,
Thank you. We agree. Any other board questions, supervisor questions? No. Thank you for your time.
thank you.
All right, NutriPacks. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sandra Brooks. I'm the director of the Panther Ram Foundation NutriPacks program. We primarily operate out of the Central Dauphin Middle School, which is at 4600 Locust Lane, which is why we are asking for your sponsorship in the Dauphin County Gaming Grant, and we thank you for your past support. For those of you that aren't familiar with us, we are a weekend backpack food program. We partner with the Central Dauphin School District, and our mission is to help food insecure students in the Central Dauphin School District have the nutritional resources to thrive socially, emotionally, and academically. We will be applying this year for $75,000 from the gaming grant. That is what we applied for last year, and we're notified that we are recipients this year. So we're going to maintain that request for $75,000. Our mission, the who we are and what we do, has not changed throughout the years that we have been operational. What has changed is the growth in our enrollment, the increase in our weekly student pickup, and the continued increases in cost to purchase foods that are included in our packs. To emphasize the need in our community, there were statistics recently highlighted in the Dauphin County Hunger Mapping Report that reflected that more than 32,000 residents of Dauphin County face food insecurity. 2 in 5 are children. 1 in 3 live within Harrisburg city limits. Children are 120% more likely than adults to experience food insecurity in Dauphin County. And strengthening the charitable food system is a key pathway to reduce food insecurity in Dauphin County. And insufficient resources via volunteering and funding remain a struggle for food pantries. Over 55% of the student population in our school district is identified as low income. We serve students in all 22 schools within the district. That includes Cyber Academy, Charter, and our students that attend the technical school. We offer pickup at 9 locations. We work with school counselors to arrange for home delivery services for families that are homebound or don't have transportation to get to the pickup locations. This year, we have had over 1,600 students register for the 2024-25 school year, and our average weekly pickup of packs stayed stable at about 653 per week. We were packing in between 700 and 800 bags every week. This year, we distributed a total of 19,578 packs of food, and every student that gets a pack of food also gets a half gallon of milk, so that was also 19,578 half gallons of milk that we distributed. The money we raise, including this grant request, is used to purchase food primarily from the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, but we do also supplement through purchases of bread and fresh produce as well. A typical weekend pack costs us around $12, $13. Retail purchases of those equivalent generic items would be around $28 to $30. Our packs are meant to include 2 breakfasts, 2 lunch, some snacks, and 2 dinners. So to supplement the food that students don't get at school when they're getting their free breakfast and free lunch, we want to ensure that they have food over the weekend. Last year, we saw a 60% increase in milk to $1.60 per half gallon. Just that one food increase this last year costed us an additional $12,000 just to provide milk with our packs. In addition to the purchased shelf-stable food, the Central PA Food Bank opens their refrigerated perishable food supply to us on the day of our distribution, so every Wednesday. This food used to be provided to us at no cost. However, this year they were required to start charging per pound for the produce that we were able to bring back for our families every Wednesday. So those costs do add up. In addition to the costs and the food that we provide, I do want to emphasize the important role that our program plays directly into our community. Most importantly, with our most vulnerable community members, our food insecure students. We have a very dedicated volunteer base. We have over 200 volunteers from our community that work together to make our program run. They believe in our mission, and they directly see the positive impact that we make. We have many community partners who continue to support our program. The Midwest Food Bank this year donated over 62,000 pounds of food to us at no cost. Pete and Jerry's Organic Eggs generously donates eggs to us every week. They've actually donated over 7,600 dozen eggs to us this school year, which is amazing. Lower Paxton Township Police Department supports us every year through their No Shave January event, so we definitely appreciate that. Central Dauphin School District personnel, they pay to have Dress Down Fridays, and that money benefits the NutriPACS programs. Faith groups, retirees, former district administrators, and student groups, our entire community shows up every week to unload trucks, pack, and deliver backpacks to students. Teachers in our district played basketball for our Hoops for Hunger event, so that's one fundraising event that's had our 3rd annual event this year to fundraise, where not only did the teachers play basketball, but the students in the district donated change through a change drive, and we actually had a change matching through a sponsor through that event this year. A future goal, 2 future goals, is we would like to operate year-round and include a summer food program. Right now, funding prohibits that, so we don't operate through through summer. And as you can imagine, when students aren't getting breakfast and lunch through school anymore, they definitely even more so have that need through the summer months. The other thing we would like to do is increase our bread and fresh produce access. Right now, because of budgetary reasons, we were limited and not only, but primarily distributed fresh produce and bread out of our main distribution location. We would like to ensure that students at all of our 9 locations get fresh bread and produce. Just on a personal note, I wanted to include, my husband grew up in central Pennsylvania, but I lived in Arizona most of my life. We recently relocated here. Our daughter attends Central Dauphin Middle School and will be attending Central Dauphin High School. I've never felt a strong community connection as I have experienced here with the NutriPax program. It really is amazing to see so many people come together to support a program that directly and positively impacts the lives of the students in our community. We appreciate all our community supporters and ask that you, Lower Paxton Township, please continue to provide your support so we could ensure that no student in our district goes hungry.
Thank you. I know you receive a lot of donations, but can you give an estimate of what your overall budget is annually?
We haven't established our budget for the
Okay.
next operating year, but our budget this last year was $316,000.
Okay. And was that enough to feed all of the students?
We did not secure that full amount of funding, which is why this year we reduced the amount of purchases for bread, and we would provide bags of apples and oranges. So those purchases were reduced this last school year.
Okay. And do you have an estimate of how much it would cost to provide the service through the entire summer?
On average, I can tell you what we were providing. We were in between about $13,000 and $20,000 expenses per month. On the higher end, it would be the weeks or the months that had more weeks. So if we had 5 weeks in that month, it would be the higher end cost. So during the summer, I would say that would probably be a little bit less. So probably on the lower end of the scale, probably around $13,000 a month.
Thank you. Other questions?
I do have a question. So all the food is not perishable, right?
No. The packs that we provide, so that 19,000 number of packs, those are non-perishable items.
All right, so where is that stored?
Right now, we're located at Central Dauphin Middle School.
Middle school.
They provided us with 2 rooms that they've expanded over the years to allow us to operate.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So here's another question. Do you have any relationships with the local grocery stores to receive an alert when their coolers go out? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I was in my local Giant on Jonestown Road recently, and I had my list, and I was instructed by one of my one of the employees that knows that I shop there on a regular basis, you better get to the produce section quickly because we are shutting down. The coolers have gone down, and the health codes, have certain requirements. So at a certain amount of after a certain amount of time, they could not sell that food. So I was just wondering, in other words, it would go to waste.
We have not done that yet, but I do appreciate that suggestion. And over the summer, I do intend to connect with 2 of our local Giants because they do their Roundup program that impacts us. So I wanted to connect as the new director. So I will bring that up as a possibility because food rescue is part of what we do and would like to increase our food rescue.
Okay, I wouldn't limit it to Giant because Target has also had the issue. Every once in a while, I believe we might all lose electricity. We might all lose power. Weiss has had, so, you might just want to reach out and try to work that relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay. We
Thank
also
you.
have
Oh, go ahead.
our president of the Panther Ram Foundation that would like to speak on our behalf.
Mr. Blaine, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. David Blaine, 1197 Nackland Farms Court. I'm the president of the Panther Ram Foundation. The Panther Ram Foundation is the organization that oversees NutriPacs. NutriPacs was started around 2012 by some former members of the foundation board because they saw the need in the school district for weekend food packs for students that were underprivileged. So therefore, that this program started with just a couple volunteers, and now you can see where we're at today with the program in and of itself. The program has again a number of initiatives that we would like to do into the future. One of the things, we're at Central Dauphin Middle School, and that is probably going to change sometime into the future here in regards to our location. So part of, obviously we're going to be looking for potentially a new location somewhere in the school district. Obviously, the school district's making some changes. The middle school is starting to grow. They're going to a full-day kindergarten, and they're moved some of their administration around. So that's something that we're going to be looking at strategically as a Panther Ram board, and what we can do with NutriPacs to move them in the future to a bigger facility, a bigger site that can do more good in the community and in the school district. The second thing, too, is obviously you see that from what Sandra talked about, we have to buy some of the food. It's not like this food is provided to us and given to us. That's the reason why the need for funds is important, because food costs continue to increase, the packs continue to increase, and the demand for the packs continue to increase. So we appreciate the Board of Supervisors' support in the past for the gaming grant. We would hope that you would find this to be one of your top gaming grant initiatives for the following year, and again, we just appreciate your time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Blaine. Anyone else? Okay. Contact helpline.
Good evening, Board of Supervisors, and thank you for having me here and the rest of us. Contact Helpline has been in this area since, in November of this year, we're celebrating 55 years. 55 years of existence, serving Central Pennsylvanians as well as Dauphin County residents. Our mission is to provide compassionate listening and resource referrals, and our vision is to build a better community, one connection at a time. So I mentioned we're celebrating 55 years this year. Actually, we're fundraising, and our motto is 55 in 2025. So in 1967, the first contact came to the United States, and that was in Texas, and then Pennsylvania in 1970. We are accredited by the International Council of Helpline. We just got a reaccreditation for another 3 years. We then, as early as 1978, started extending our services. So what we realize is people who are going through emotional crisis, there's usually tied to some need that is going unmet. And so we expanded to Dauphin, Cumberland, Perry County, where we started giving information and referral. In 2011, we became the contractor of 211 services as well. So I'll tell you all of what we do. We're a small and mighty organization. Our programs include this emotional listening line, where we have relied solely on part-time work and volunteers. When we started in 1970, we had 60 volunteers. Now we're at 5. So yes, because the volunteer pool is dropping, reaccreditation rules have changed, so we're relying more and more on paid staff. Through our emotional listening line, we give free, confidential, person-centered emotional support. So anyone can call us twice per day and talk with someone who's a highly trained staff or volunteer to discuss issues. So a call to our emotional listening line helps in reducing the strain on our emergency services, because callers get this opportunity to reach catharsis, whatever is troubling you before we get a call to 911. We also receive calls that are crisis in nature, homicidal, suicidal. We work closely with Dauphin County Crisis Intervention, and we'll transfer those calls over, as well as 988. And 988 also transfer calls to us that are no longer homicidal or suicidal, but just people still needing to process. So then we get those calls. We also have a teen line, and that's also free. It's 24/7, 365. And last but not least, well, our 211 information services. Not sure how many of you are familiar with 211. So it's just this 3-digit number, like 911. You simply, from your phone, dial 211, or you can text 898-211, and you're connected to someone in my office. Or working from home, but working for us at Contact Helpline. So what we do 7 days a week, 24/7, 365, we never close, is we provide information and referral to meet a need, an express need. It could be the need for shelter, could be food pantry, it could be clothing, you name it, and we get those calls. This is a true story. I was manning the phone lines one Saturday and got a call from someone with a possum in their basement. They dialed 211, got me. I've never heard of that before, so I thought someone was playing some kind of prank, but anyway, it was a true story and a true call. What we did work together to help them problem solve is to connect them to their local non-emergency number for the police department. Mom was alone with the kids. She kept saying the possum, keep pushing the hand or paw up through the hole. It was crazy. So any call that anybody has a need, they call us at 211. In addition to texting and web and calling, folks can also go on our website and turn a chat into a call. We're also able to, if you speak another language, the website immediately translates just based on the option that you choose as a caller. Because none of my staff speak 80 different languages, but we are able to serve people in 80 different languages. And I'm getting to why this is important for us, and my ask is to support our need to increase and enhance our technology further to meet this demand. The other is we are the provider that connects people to shelters. So anyone, including in Dauphin County outside of business hours, needs emergency shelter, they'll dial 211, they'll get us. We will then do a triage over to Christian Churches United, which is the Dauphin County housing entity, and let them know where they are, how many people are involved, adult, 5 children sleeping in. I've had this, a van in the parking lot at the Walmart in Lebanon County, for instance, and so on. We also do the same for York and 33 other counties where we're the ones who do the actual housing assessment. We add them to the by name list. And for those who are not familiar with what this is the way people get into shelters. So they're prioritized based on the score they receive. I'm not going to bore anybody with that, but they're scored and they're prioritized, and that's how you get into a shelter. So those are the key programs. Our impact, and in the interest of time, we also have a Safe Haven helpline where we answer calls for Dauphin County as well. People who are struggling with childcare and parenting and have a baby. So the Safe Haven helpline started back in 2002 at the onset of what's referred to as a Newborn Protection Act. And the goal is to help families keep this child and not relinquish the child in an unsafe space. So we work closely with our local emergency rooms. You'll see those little glass bassinets out front. It's all a part of the Safe Haven Act, and Contact Helpline is the organization that answers the phone, help people figure out where to go. I'm going to say 99% of the time, it's not someone seeking to relinquish, but someone saying, hey, I want to keep my baby, but I don't have any diaper, I don't have any formula, can you help me? So that's how we connect folks. A snapshot of the reasons why, before I give you our impact statement, why people call us on our emotional listening line: loneliness. The Surgeon General last year declared loneliness the new pandemic. It's loneliness, reassurance, mental health issues, conflict with family, financial reasons. On the 211 side, it's the need. Believe it or not, our largest volume of calls is people needing shelter and housing stability type resources, such as rent payment assistance, first month rent, last month rent, utility payment assistance, fuel, politics, and the list goes on. In 2024, over 70,000 people called Contact Helpline. We are a staff of 23. Let me just pause for dramatic effect. Yes, we are. We're a staff of 23, and it's actually 70,995 people called us. We responded to over 20,495 information and referral calls, 1,173 text messages, almost 1,000 live chat conversations, and we provided referrals to 74,636 community agencies in our region. Our database is searchable by anyone from wherever they are, including on your cell phone. Last year, 118,000 people searched our database for resources, and they were primarily looking for rent payment assistance, food pantries, low-income subsidized private rental housing, electric service payment assistance, and volunteer opportunities. So that's our impact in a nutshell. Last year, we were also fielding calls for Dauphin County Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and we received over 380 of those calls last year. What we're requesting is $47,359 for infrastructure upgrade in order to address inadequate technology and software to maintain our operations. So with over 54 years, again 55 in November, of delivering services, our local server is 12 years old. Those who know computers will tell you that's a no-no. So we have a 12-year-old server. It has an external on-site drive for backup. Additionally, our firewall that we use is a loaned firewall. It was lent to us by our third-party technology company. And of course, it does not support the services needed to respond to new technological threats. Our Windows operating system is refurbished between 2013 and 2015. And our internet service and bandwidth connection speed are inadequate given the number of connection and data that's required. Poor quality for phone connections, disconnections. We have our volunteers and remote staff utilizing their own personal machines. Given today's cybersecurity concerns, we understand the importance of having proper security systems in place. And to maintain confidentiality and integrity of our system is really, really important to us. And so we are really looking to do an analysis of our current system. Where are we? Where do we need to be? Do the analysis and upgrade what we have to at least, I'm going to say probably maybe a lot better than the 2013 machines. We're not looking for top of the line. You'll see it's $47,000. $47,000 is what we're asking for. Not a lot. And that does include, we use headsets and monitors and so on and so forth. And that is what we're asking you to consider. The last time Contact Helpline came before this committee, you helped us to secure a generator for our building because we're 24/7, 365, and keeping the systems going was important. And we ask you again to consider helping us to upgrade our technology, and this time in the tune of $47,359. Questions?
Thank you. Could you clarify your service area?
Service area, 10 counties.
Okay.
Including Dauphin. And if I could remember them off the top of my head, I'll probably try. So let me try. Okay. So alphabetically, it's Adams, Dauphin, Cumberland, Perry, York, Huntington, Mifflin, Juniata. Who am I missing? There are 10.
Okay.
We
got 8 of them.
I got 8
from memory.
See, man, and I'm tired. It's 9:30.
It's late. Can I ask if you? Obviously this is just for IT infrastructure. You receive other public funding?
We do. We actually do a lot of fundraising. So Our fundraising efforts this year so far, we have participated in the High Mark Walk. Match Madness netted $4,000. Give Local York gave us $1,600. Partnership for Better Health, and we also rely a lot on foundations, including Partnership for Better Health. Last year, they fund us $50,000. This year, we're asking for another $50,000, and what I'm asking for this year from them is a continuation of not just this year, but next year as well. We're still waiting to hear from them.
Have you reached out to the United Way?
We are already funded by the United Way. Not all United Ways. So how it works is we try and ask for funding from the United Ways in the 10 counties we serve. We don't always get it.
Okay.
So the United Way of the Capital Region, this region, funds us to the tune of $42,000. And that's how we're able to pay staff salaries. But a lot of those funding is limited only to staff, not technology upgrade.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to Penn Cyber, Mr. Davis. Again, thank you for your patience. We appreciate you being here tonight.
We're going to see if this works. Look at that technology that works. Good job, Brad.
Beautiful.
Good evening, supervisors, and thank you for the opportunity and your patience tonight as well. First, I do want to say, sitting here and listening to all the other nonprofits that are in the room, it truly is humbling to share the podium with them tonight, as there's amazing ideas and things that are coming out of Lower Paxton Township. My name is Scott Davis. I am the chairman of the Cybersecurity Association of Pennsylvania, or Penn Cyber. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, proudly headquartered right here in Lower Paxton Township at 5526 Ridgeview Drive. Our mission is simple but vital: securing Pennsylvania's digital future together. In a time when digital threats are becoming more sophisticated and widespread, we believe cybersecurity must start early, not just in business or government, but in our schools, communities, and even at home. That's why we're here today, to ask for your support in helping us launch our latest initiative, CyberSmart Kids. CyberSmart Kids is a program designed to educate elementary school students on the fundamentals of cyber safety. This program will align closely with our mission to create a safer digital environment across the Commonwealth, starting with the youngest members of our community. We are requesting $25,000 in funding to support the creation and distribution of age-appropriate educational materials, interactive workshops, and digital resources for local schools. The funding will directly impact children in Dauphin County and help equip them with lifelong habits of navigating the online world safely. We are proud to represent Lower Paxton Township, and we hope that you'll join us in this critical effort to build a culture of cybersecurity, starting right here with our children. So real quick, simple agenda, we'll go over a few things. But the association is looking to develop and pilot a cybersecurity education program for elementary age students in Dauphin County. The CyberSmart Kids initiative is looking to equip those young students with the foundational knowledge and digital hygiene habits necessary to safely and responsibly navigate today's increasingly connected world. The curriculum will focus on topics such as social engineering. The reality is each one of our kids are experts at social engineering. If you've ever seen a child lay down in a grocery store because you said no, that is socially engineering at its finest. Safe social media sharing. Toddlers, youth, elementary school students are getting into social media earlier and earlier. Cyberbullying awareness, and even password and device security. Our goal is to teach it in an engaging, age-appropriate way. The project will develop grade-specific educational content. What works for a kindergartner
is not going to work for a fifth grader, is not going to work for a middle schooler, a high schooler, or even us adults, our senior citizens. Our goal is to provide teacher training and professional development, pilot it in our local schools, conduct community outreach with the parents as well. The Cybersecurity Association, again, we are founded and headquartered here in Lower Paxton Township. We are dedicated to advancing cybersecurity awareness, education, and policy. Our goal of uniting various professionals to create safer digital communities. The board includes experts from multiple fields, and the association promotes best practices through training, newsletters, and events. Myself, I'm joined with other board members, Fred Failona, Kelly Davis, who is present in the back, and Tim Ritter. With the rise in technology use among our children, formal education on cybersecurity is crucial. Kids as young as 5 are online, often without the tools to protect themselves from cyberbullying, phishing, and oversharing. We need a consistent cybersecurity education at the elementary level to create an early foundation in trust. Being a father of a 5, a 9, and a 16-year-old who are using technology every day and using it differently, our team, which includes my wife, Kelly, and others, are ready to take the experiences we have in raising our children and helping to promote and educate the children of our communities and across the state. Pennsylvania schools require cybersecurity education that is localized, relevant, and engaging for young learners. Early intervention is crucial to prevent unsafe behaviors and risks, which can and does impact students' privacy, mental health, and their academic success. We aim to develop an engaging cybersecurity curriculum that is age appropriate for elementary students. Teachers and staff, again, will be trained to deliver that content, and our goal is to pilot it in 2 to 3 schools within Dauphin County before pushing it out across the state at no cost. The presentation will cover essential topics, like I stated earlier: cyber safety, personal information, social media, best practices, recognizing, reporting cyberbullying, creating strong passwords, device use, understanding social engineering. And, some of the common things are just best practices and overall. These kids are new to an environment that it opens up so easily to have communication with a complete stranger. The apps changing so rapidly that an app that's innocent today is dangerous tomorrow. Websites that we visit that look safe, but actually have hidden sites behind the scenes that as parents you don't always know. The hidden secrets that children use to exploit, to hide things from their parents, they know. And it's up to us to make sure as parents we're educating them on those safe practices. As you can see, this project has 5 phases. Our first 2 months is looking at the curriculum development and topic research, creation of the student material, lesson plans, and the teacher guides, delivery of 2 professional development training sessions for teachers, pilot implementation in partner schools, collecting feedback, evaluation, refinement, and ultimately providing the final report, the recommendations, and distributing it across the state. Our budget request of $25,000 looks like curriculum development, roughly $8,000. Graphic design, printed classroom materials is a critical component of it, as you have to reach the children that you're trying to teach. Teacher training, technology support, and then the project evaluation and reporting. The pilot program will benefit 100 to 150 elementary students in its pilot program, 6 to 10 trained teachers, and many families with the take-home materials. It is designed to be scalable for expansion across all of Pennsylvania. Our goal will be to expand this program to include middle school, high school, and senior citizens across the Commonwealth. After the pilot phase, Penn Cyber, or the Cybersecurity Association of Pennsylvania, will continue to fundraise and seek additional funding from local businesses, state coalitions as needed, providing the finalized curriculum to schools for free, offer professional development through partnerships with IUs, and host community cyber awareness events and parent workshops. The Cyber Kids Initiative aims to protect children, families, and schools through early digital safety education, led by the Cybersecurity Association of Pennsylvania, leveraging our technical expertise, educational partnerships, and community-focused mission to ensure our youngest digital citizens are the safest. With your support, we can be one step closer to securing Pennsylvania's digital future together, one child at a time. Questions?
Have you reached out to school districts locally about their interest in this?
I have had some conversations with the principal at Mountain View Elementary over the last couple years of doing something. There has been interest. There has been no formal conversation.
Okay, but you've identified a need for this.
I will have a first grader and fifth grader at Mountain View Elementary School.
Understood. I have a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old, and this terrifies me. Are you aware, is there any current cybersecurity education at all in our elementary schools?
From the content that I've seen come home that touches on cybersecurity, it is minimum. I believe the first week of school, the password is put on the take-home folder, and it's like right there, readily available for everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions?
So, as a retired elementary school teacher, I was on board with you for almost your whole presentation. And then when you got to the point where you said you plan on, it seemed like you said you plan on having the teachers teach this particular curriculum. Did I understand that correctly?
I believe there has to be a partnership between teachers, between parents, between the association.
I do understand what you're saying about a partnership. We seem to be called on by a number of people to have partnerships. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that has been added to the instructional plate of the educator in the classroom. Okay?
Understood.
All right.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Davis, you used a lot of very generic kinds of words, but this is a significant issue in our society today. I think you included this, but I'm going to ask a direct question because I'm not as sophisticated with many of the words you used in the cyber world. Are you going to teach kids how to keep themselves safe from someone who shows up and invites them out at 2 o'clock in the morning because they're going to, whatever's going to happen is going to be fun for them? Is that kind? I just read a story recently where a 9-year-old girl was convinced to leave her home at 2 o'clock in the morning. She ended up dead. That's part of the cybersecurity you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
I had a good friend of mine for many years who got her cell phone bill one day, and it was $19,000. And what had happened was her son, who was playing an online game in one of these boxes that they use to play online games, some person, obviously disreputable, had convinced him to give mom's cell phone number and other pertinent information, so he was able to charge, I don't even know what he bought for $19,000, but $19,000 showed up on her cell phone bill. Those, again, are kinds of things you'd be teaching young people to be aware of and to not do things like that, right?
Our goal is to focus on technology as a whole, focus on what kids are experimenting with, capabilities. You look at the Amazon Alexas, the capability of just saying, Amazon, order this, or Echo, order that. The capabilities are endless, and the technology in what our children can do today is surprising. The way our 5-year-old goes around Minecraft and the different games on his tablet, the way our 9-year-old is able to operate the Alexa to play the latest Taylor Swift songs without even thinking about it, it's unbelievable. But the risks are there, from the cyberbullying to looking at, hey, are you really talking to another 16-year-old person, or are you talking to a 40-year-old man? You don't know. And that is so critical to teach, especially when they witness mom and dad calling an Uber and getting in the car with a stranger. When I was that age, it was don't get in the car with strangers. Now we call them to pick us up.
And all of this is age-related for that various groups of kids.
Our goal is to create it so it's age appropriate and targeting the different ages appropriately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right, community garden. Thanks again for being here.
I think there's still time for a late dinner. We'll see.
Yeah.
We can share if you. Oh, great, thank you.
Hello. Hello again, I think.
Yes.
Kite Fest, right? Well, we've got a few some celebrities on the screen right now, I guess.
There you
go. So basically, we're just here. We got the Lower Paxton Community Garden started back in March, and it's off to a pretty good start, but it's missing a few things, and we want to reimburse a few things too. The township took on costs to build a fence. We applied for a gaming grant last time around. We got a partial grant. We got about 57% of what we requested, so it's not enough. So there's still some gaps. They're removing, I guess, the last shade tree, so we want to try to have some kind of shade area, a gazebo. Long-term, this is probably the only garden in the area that doesn't have any water source. It's not a rush, but it's going to be a problem down the road, especially right now. We're not really worried about it with the rain, but if you've ever seen the Dauphin County Community Gardens, they have a hand pump, and I think there's 300 plots and 2 hand pumps, and by August, the whole place gets abandoned. So, most of our neighboring municipalities, their community gardens have some kind of water source. So we've tried to identify a few different options between piping, a cistern, and putting in a hand pump. We've got a few different avenues we can explore. So a lot of people have asked us what community gardens even are. Some people have thought that it's this place where anybody can come freely and take. Some people think it's you just get your plot issued and you're on your own. We tried to kind of combine a little bit of different elements there. We tried to make it an integrative garden here where people can have their own plots, but we'll also have some community plots reserved as well. We're looking to have the plots adopted by churches, schools. We've already got the middle school?
The National Junior Honor Society and Jeremy Project.
I was never part of either, so
Yeah.
I don't know the names very well. But they're already partnered with the gardens. They've been coming weekly to help maintain the gardens, help weed the community plots. They're going to be planting there, taking some produce home, but also donating some as well. So just a real brief history. Community gardens, they're nothing new. They go back through, I guess, if you went back to the medieval era, they were part of the idea of the commons. That eventually was lost. It reemerged in the late 19th century here in this country as a way to deal with food scarcity and also just a lot of immigrant disengagement. It was a way of bringing communities together, a way of them finding food, also a way for immigrant communities to be able to get, say, local foods that they have, say, part of their cuisine, but you can't get in the stores around here. So it kind of touches a bunch of different bases. So the whole idea of community gardens, they're kind of, I guess they're sort of all-encompassing in certain ways because they address needs of food, but also education. They were, obviously we've heard of the Victory Gardens. They're a way of supporting national interests, a way of supporting independence and the idea of having self-reliance. They kind of declined during urbanization and suburbanization, but they've reemerged. Many of our municipalities and our neighbors now have them. They're very popular. I know the township had one decades ago and it didn't quite work. It was a little bit early, I guess. It was a little early to the party, but this is off to a good start here. I want to talk a little bit about it if you haven't been there already. I guess, how many board members have visited already? Alan, we saw you at, I think, the media event, right? Anybody else? We'd love to give you a tour. And Pam.
And Pam has a plot.
Yeah, she's the master gardener there.
Yeah.
But needless to say, right now all the beds that were available have been taken. There's currently a wait list for new gardeners. We've had workshops. We're hoping to have more. There's several events in the works and partnerships both with nonprofits and local businesses. Home Depot is offered to come out and then I think sometime in July or August. And they were willing to, they talked about potentially bringing their staff and providing resources, education, and doing a build-out day. We were going to combine that with a media event for good publicity. We've already had the news crews here, I think, 3 times. So it seems to be, we want to show them where the gardens have been. They saw the opening, they saw how it started. We want to show them where it is now. As I said, we've already partnered with the county for the Jeremy project, as well as the Honor Society. We're looking long-term since it's on the grounds of E.H. Phillips. We've reached out to the elementary school and they are interested, and so is Superintendent Turman, and having a fall fest event in September for both the students and the greater community. So here's just a few highlights. Top right,
I think it was the opening day.
I think that's the opening day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
It was the opening day.
Pam was there. I don't know if Alan was there. I'm not sure. That was back at the end of March. But picture on the left is the junior national.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, they never let me in that club for good reason.
Me either. Yeah.
All right. And we've had a couple events where we've had plants donated, given them out to members of the community who don't have plants. Also done plant swaps. Why do we have these gardens? They're community building. They engage with, we have a very large Bhutanese population. It's sort of a bridge to their community. We've been trying to facilitate some cross-cultural events and exchange. I know there's been it can be difficult sometimes to find that common ground. There's sometimes language barriers. We're working on translators. The Parks Department has offered to be able to provide some, and so has the Jeremy Project. In addition, though, there's very practical considerations here, too. I think we're right at the line. The gardens are located on the east side of Rutherford. Rutherford's the line, spacing out the census tracts. The west side has twice the food insecurity, and I think NutriPack people, it's higher in summer, right?
Yep.
So the gardens, when do they come on? That's summertime. So we're looking to incorporate more volunteer groups to come in, plant the community plots. Help us, please, with these community plots. We're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
No, it's good exercise and good sun, but we're hoping to broaden to more groups to help out with that, and then donate the produce to help address some of these food insecurity concerns. And we've also been trying to partner with other interested churches and groups for community gardens for similar projects. Work a little bit, yeah. We've already had some interest from Dauphin County. They want to try to co-host some events at the gardens, so we kind of hit that mandate of education, recreation, and also providing food for residents. So I wanted to just talk a little bit too. Health outcomes are almost always correlated positively with community gardens, life expectancy, mental health, healthcare costs are lower. Here's the map I was describing about the food insecurity. I believe Locust Lane is, does the mouse go here? You can't mouse, that's all right. So the western line there is Rutherford, the northern line there is Locust. We're just like in that little tiny V. And so we've got a lot of food insecurity around us. Again, it's been successful so far. This is just a quick Google search. In 2 months, we've hit the media. We're going to hit them again this summer because we want to give them a heads up and where we're going. And I want to talk so here's the Jeremy Project, here's the junior high students. As I mentioned before, we've got future events, some ambitious, some a little bit more mundane. We want to range from having pollinator classes, pest management, nutrition classes, but we also want to try to launch the Garden Fest. We want to help celebrate International Gardeners Day, and we've got the upcoming partnership with Home Depot. So it's, as you can see, it's come along in just 2 months. So why do we need these things? Well, I mean, we'll start with the fencing, reimbursement for you guys, among other things, and to help ensure future maintenance costs. So we want to try to secure another round of funding to help pay off the rest of what the township has invested, but there's also long-term costs of operating the fence. There's maintenance. The fence is not animal-proof, so we have to take just a few steps that we've had sort of, I guess the rabbits are a little smarter than we realized. So we have to take some steps to do that. It won't be too difficult. We want to get a little bit more funding to ensure that that's a success. We're just going to try to get a modest gazebo to have a recreation space, a place to get out of the sun. All the shade trees are going, so.
Yeah, and also like with the addition of the gazebo, it will lessen the urge to build a little like shanty shack for shade within your garden plot. That has happened, and it prevents litter, unnecessary litter, accidental litter, you know. Also, it would look nicer, and it would give the gardeners more space to use their whole plot.
The context of that is a lot of gardeners, since there isn't shade, they create their own. And so we have to keep telling them to tear it down. The gardens are located in the backyard of, what street is that?
I think it's Garden Street. I feel
I'm
like
not sure the
it's
name, but
Oakhurst Garden.
okay.
So, yeah.
It's located, it's vectored there between E.H. Phillips, people's backyards, and Penn's Woods. So we want to try to make this as nice and a
Like, look
showcase as
nice,
possible.
yeah.
A lot of people can see it, a lot of people walk by, a lot of people inquire about it. So we want to encourage them to have a different place to seek shade, but also a general meeting area for when media comes, for when we have these events, for when students come. Our Jeremy Project canceled this Thursday because of the heat. They don't want to be out in the sun in the midday, so we're trying to figure out a little bit of a solution for them to cool down. And then finally, the water. It's pretty hard to have a sustainable, good garden without water, so we want to try to make this as best we can. We're going to try to look at sort of the least impactful, cheapest ways first, and we found for around $10,000 we can look at a cistern or having some kind of hand pump system. If we, eventually we can look at having piping, but we want to just offer something to start out and then can kind of build from there. But our goal here is to try to make this as successful as possible. As you've said before, the township has 55,000 residents. There's right now one plot for every maybe 1,300 people. So we want to we're trying to have as many areas as we can for these community plots, for the workshops, so people who haven't already gotten a plot can still participate, can still volunteer, can still meet their neighbors, and if we can do this, I think we can try to make the rest of the gardens a success. Did you have any questions?
I have a quick question. So the cost estimates that you have here, are they the costs specifically for materials? I think you mentioned that you might have some help with.
Well, Home Depot obviously isn't going to they're not going to do the water. They may help us with a shed long term.
Okay.
They offered to help with the shed and putting in the beds. So they were going to come and I guess, part of what we want to do is incorporate the history of the area, so the baseball backstop is going to become a grape arbor. We were going to have I guess we partnered with a group that deals with neurodivergent populations, and we're going to maybe make a sensory garden. So they were going to kind of help with that. They were going to donate the plants and the labor that goes into that.
Okay. So your costs include the amount that you would need for materials and relevant labor for those?
Yeah. And
items,
honestly,
okay.
the fence is primarily for you guys, and the remainder would be for long-term maintenance. Public Works has said that they can't really keep the weeds real low right along the fence, so we have to look at different long-term sustainable ways of keeping the weeds down. They don't want to weed whack the fence because it damages the fence and the weed whacker, so it's a learning curve here for us too. But this would kind of help offset ongoing costs for the township. The gazebo is kind of a minimal cost, and that would be in addition to what we've already secured for a gazebo from the prior grant.
Yep.
And then the water would just be to set up something that we can get a little more sustainability there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So you partnered with the school district to have this community garden in the first place. Why wouldn't we approach the appropriate students at VOTEC to build the gazebo?
Oh, I guess one issue is we still have to provide the materials. And that could be, depending on the dimensions, that could be kind of problematic. We were hoping to get it built before, we had tried to reach out before the semester ended. We were hoping to try to get this started sooner rather than later. And this would perhaps just exist to reimburse some of the costs if need be, or just get something temporary.
And Home Depot said that we might be able to keep the tools after we're done. Keep the tools from the build out.
It wouldn't be exclusive to the VOTEC. They would be able to participate as well.
Yeah.
Home Depot has a policy where for every volunteer, there's, say, $200 they contribute. So if we could bring out the VOTEC students, it would be collaborative in that sense. So we'd bring them on to more hands, more money coming.
So why couldn't we use the materials in the community that are available? The ones that I've used in my garden that I found out in the community.
What are some examples?
Bamboo, because it's a nuisance, and it's on a number of people's property. And so if we made a call, Facebook, and we asked, would you like to get rid of your bamboo? And then somebody at the VOTEC design a gazebo from the using of the bamboo. Are you following me, Andrew?
I am. I'm just, you got me thinking here. I'm trying to imagine I think that would look really well for trellises and perhaps some archways. I think it would be difficult. I think it would be difficult as a construction. It can be done, but I think turning bamboo into workable lumber. I don't know if the VOTEC students have experience working with bamboo. I don't know if you can drive a nail into it. I think it involves a different kind of, I'd have to look into the details about it, but I think that's a good idea.
That's a great idea, yeah.
It would be a way of incorporating a waste product in the township. I'm sure we can find uses for the bamboo. I don't know if it would specifically be the gazebo.
Yeah, we were thinking archways, using the bamboo for the archways since it's like kind of bendy. So you can like mold it into the shape, right when you cut it fresh, you can mold it into like an arch shape. But we didn't know if that would be a liability with the township because it is bamboo and it's not something that normally people build with. So I don't know what the liabilities would be for like the kids that are there or
one way to find out.
The gardeners. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Great presentation. Okay, and finally, the township fuel pump replacement project.
Oh, and thank you for your support last year. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Did you have any comments?
Oh, of course, yes, please, please.
Like 30 seconds to a minute.
Absolutely.
So Donovan Bailey, I'm a local resident. And just through helping out with the community gardens, I just kind of wanted to advocate me personally, I'm a Dauphin County Technical School graduate, Elizabethtown College graduate, and never really was introduced to this until recently. And just being a part of the community, I've kind of noticed the necessity and the support behind these community gardens. And Lower Paxton Township isn't the only one. And we have multiple in the township that are clearly, like, people want to be there. I've had family members come to me about the one that we have, and then I've had other family members ask me about this one, and they're talking about the one at United Churches. So I think it would be a great asset to the community. So I just wanted to advocate, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yep, this is certainly very much needed in our community. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm just going to give a very brief elevator pitch here. This is something that the township, certainly the township board, but staff as well as possibly the public may be aware of to some extent, because back in 2020 was when the township first identified the fact that our township fueling facility, which is located at our Public Works campus, was starting to show significant signs of deterioration. To give you some context, the existing two 10,000-gallon gas tanks, one being for diesel, one being for gasoline, were installed in 1989, and these things typically have a life expectancy of about 20 years. So we're pretty well beyond that. And as noted, when we had them inspected, as we do regularly, it really has come to the point where DEP, investigation and potential fining may occur relative to some potential slippage of materials and things of that nature. So in 2022, the Public Works Department began to correspond with some contacts we had in this field, and we began to obtain cost estimates to begin looking at replacing the fuel center. And at that time, we received a cost estimate of about $370,000 to replace this facility. So that's underground tanks replacement, as well as replacing the existing infrastructure surrounding that, including things such as the canopy and other mechanisms behind the facility. Just to give you some context here, this facility in the greater context of Lower Paxton Township is quite important, particularly with regard to public safety. All township departments utilize this facility to refuel our vehicles, including Public Works, Sewer, Parks and Rec, Administration, but most importantly, obviously, police and we also partner with South Central EMS, as well as our volunteer fire companies, and they utilize the facility to fuel their fleets, as well as vehicles from the technical school, as well as the Lower Paxton Township Senior Van Service. So this has some pretty wide-ranging impact to the not only internal departments, but as well as community-related public safety and social service infrastructure. In 2022, during the 2022-2023 county local share grant cycle, the township had submitted a grant request in the amount of $150,000 and was approved $90,000 of that request for this project. In 2024, the township then budgeted within its general improvement fund the project in full being what we thought to be the cost estimate at that time of, again, approximately $370,000. When we went to do our first round of bidding sometime in mid-2024, we received a number of bids, and for a number of purposes, unfortunately, we had to reject all bids and come back to the board again sometime around mid to late 2024. Long story short, in 2024, upon the second round of bidding, the lowest bid from August Mack came in at $889,000. Again, keep in mind that original $370,000 cost estimate, which again is what the township utilized to budget this thing. If you take a quick look at the bottom line here, and just to kind of quickly get you up to speed, we have been also, not to complicate this, but we have been working with August Mack, the apparent lowest bidder this time around. There was a bit of miscommunication or misunderstanding on behalf of the bidder, August Mack, potentially now raising the unfortunate low bid to $995,000. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there, but try to keep with me. $995,000 is kind of the current day bid on this project. So bottom line here, $995,000. The township's original capital improvement fund budget, the original township capital improvement budget was set at approximately $441,000. We received $90,000 from the Dauphin County Gaming Grant in 2022-2023. We are now, per this action, seeking an additional request of $175,000. If you do the math on that, it still comes to about $289,000 approximately to complete construction alone. And at this point, unfortunately, that $289,000, $300,000 or so would be coming from the general fund. And by that we mean really utilizing quickly waning ARPA funds to make that happen. So any bit that we can get to offset this pretty large, unbudgeted now project is going to be of great benefit, not only to the township, but as mentioned again, to a number of community groups. So with all that said, I'd be happy to help answer any questions. I know I hit you with a lot, but you did have this in your packet to try to hopefully digest some of it. So
So the overage, and if we don't get what we're seeking, which is often the case with these grants, the money would need to come from the general fund? Or are you saying that there's ARPA funds that are unallocated or were already previously allocated to this project?
No, they were not previously allocated. It would be through, I know we have on here, kudos to our new Public Works Director, Matt Jaroslawski, for putting this together pretty quickly. So some of this needs to be refined for when it goes to the county. Where noted here, committed $320,000 general fund, and that will actually come from unallocated ARPA funds. But like I had mentioned, they're quickly waning. I don't have the number off the top of my head what we're sitting at right now, but it's quickly running out. So.
Okay, so those were ARPA funds that were revenue replacement.
Correct.
So we can, okay.
Correct,
Got
yes.
it, because you're right, they had to be allocated by the end of last year.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Cottrell?
Do those ARPA funds have to be used by this year date?
We have no date. No, the way we accounted for those funds and submitted the appropriate administrative paperwork, we don't have a deadline for those.
And when that, those tanks, have they already failed?
They have not failed, but it's a matter of kind of a daily, prayer when we go to constantly utilize them. So no failure, but it needs to be done.
Rather than later.
It needed to be done back in 2020, 2022 when we started, yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Nope. Okay, we are now on to announcements. Are there any announcements? No announcements from the board. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Okay. Oh, please, go ahead.
Y'all have been here too long, so I'm just going to make this brief comment in support of the community gardens. My name is Mihir Patel, graduated from East High in '07. What you know, Panthers in the house. I know what it's like to live in Pennswoods and be pressured by young people that are my peers to go to Turkey Hill and grab merchandise and maybe pay for it or maybe not pay for it, right? So to whatever degree we can support infrastructure that allows young people food solutions before they reach Turkey Hill and before the products of their purchases become litter on the streets, I think is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We had a properly made and seconded motion. Our June 10th meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Do you have insight? Yeah, it's late enough. If you just want to reach out to Morgan individually, kind of provide our. It's after 10 o'clock. You can't.
Yeah, let's just go.
I mean, whatever. If we wanted to adjust the agenda.